Hello, we are here with legendary Fallout contributor and one of my favorite writers, Chris Avellone. Hello, thank you for doing this. And
of course, thanks for the invite.
absolutely, no, thank you for accepting. So yeah, I wanted to have you on for a while. It's been since 1998 that I've wanted to talk to you, so the fact that I get to is very, very exciting. Yeah.
Back in the 20th century.
Back in the 20th century. But I figured today, I know that you've worked on a ton of projects, a ton of video games that probably mean a lot to you. My channel is more focused on Fallout, so I apologize if I'm pulling towards that.
No problem.
Okay. Feel free to talk
sense.
about whatever projects you're passionate about. That's not a problem. Any projects you're working on, of course, we can get to those today too. But one of the things that people wanted to talk about the most, and I definitely got asked about the most, and we saw some of your reactions about, was the Fallout show. And I figured that we could just address that elephant in the room.
Let's go.
Immediately. So, yeah, no kidding. So you're not a fan of the show?
No, you are absolutely hit it right on the head.
Yeah.
However, I should probably put a disclaimer in. For people watching who like the show, don't take my opinion as like I'm critiquing you, or I'm saying that your opinions on the show aren't valid, because if you like the show and you're enjoying it, fantastic, then it's working for you. That's great. I have discovered as I get older, I become increasingly more critical about what I watch, and the Fallout. Wow. I'll say I'm already trying to be silenced. Sorry, but as I get older, yeah, I guess just craft-wise, I just don't think the show is put together very well. I don't think the scripts are very good. I don't have any issues with the acting. I like the actors. I obviously a big fan of Walton Goggins. We worked with him on Prey. But
okay. I didn't know that.
Like
actually.
yeah, actually, he wasn't one of the main characters, unfortunately. But any Walton Goggins time we can get is more than fine with me. But yeah, so my issue with the show is mostly the craftsmanship, and I am very proud of Bethesda for being able to bring it to a TV series, which is something that Interplay could never have done. And the fact that Amazon picked it up and the show is getting a lot of views, it's getting a lot of attention, a lot of great ratings. That's just great for the franchise. So like no complaints there. I just don't think it's very well put together. I mean, like if you compare it to like Doctor Who, for example, like Doctor Who does not have the biggest budget in the world. And when you look at the sets, you kind of groan and you're like, oh wow, like that's that's not like the best CGI I've ever seen, and it feels kind of kludgy, but the scripts make up for it, at least the older Doctor Who's did. But the problem with Fallout is you kind of get that kludginess with the scenes and the setups that they have, but then they don't have the script strength to back it up, in my opinion. And I give you a lot of specific things that bother me, but again, like it's just mostly the craftsmanship of the show that bothers me.
Well, we can definitely get into some specifics. I think the reason I have a differing opinion, well, that actually scratch that. I came into it looking at it as a Hollywood adaptation of something that I've enjoyed my entire life. So I expected, because, okay, really good example. And this might label what skill of reader I'm at or whatever. One of my favorite books of all time, maybe you're familiar with it, is The Giver. When I was in high school, we had to read it. And what it's about is it's like a post-apocalyptic like society that kind of has that Stepford Wives situation, it's too good to be true kind of a situation, dystopian situation. And this kid ends up like being able to see in color, and nobody else can do that. And because and it follows the story, and
it's a reverse Tim Kaine. That's awesome.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, but I just found the story interesting, and then I was actually listening to the audiobook not too long ago, and I was like, oh, give this a listen while I was working on some stuff. And I wondered in my head, I was like, how could this become a movie? And then I found out that it had become a movie, and I was like, oh, cool. So I just kicked on the movie, and instantly I was upset. Instantly, it's like, okay, that's not this wasn't the premise at the beginning when like the kid was like 12 in the book and he was coming of age and becoming this figure in the society and what all that meant. And in this, he's an 18-year-old with a love interest, and you're just like,
okay.
you know what I mean? Like they changed a lot of it. And so I can understand going into Fallout and having those same kind of feelings where it's like, but because of things like that, and I'm also a big fan of Forrest Gump, which is nothing like the book and the movie or nothing alike. Well, I mean, it's the same topic, but, you know, very different. I came into it being like, okay, this is a Hollywood adaptation of something that is coming from a medium that is so like you can express creativity so differently in video games, in my opinion, than you can with a book or a movie or a show. Yeah. Because you're experiencing it, you know, I don't need to explain it to you. So I think it was you on Twitter or something like that had said that used the theme park analogy, where it was more like a Fallout theme park. Yeah, and so like I kind of came into it expecting that, where I was like, yeah, you know what I mean? So like in turn, I wasn't as disappointed as some of my peers were.
So yeah, and I totally agree with that too, because I think you're on the right track. So I think the Fallout show actually mirrors like Fallout 4 really well. Like, and that's fine. Like, my issue is more that I just don't think that the structure is very good. And I'll give
Yeah.
So like I was trying to watch season 2, and I got right up to the beginning of episode 3, and I honestly just couldn't go on any longer. But it doesn't mean like it was absolutely terrible. It's just that they were doing certain things that I thought were I would hate to go back to crafted again, just not well crafted. I'll give you some examples. So when the ghoul and Lucy are, you know, in that one hospital, which somehow has power, which we'll get into is another thing. Like there was all sorts of little things like that would take me out of the experience and made me wonder like what the fuck's going on. They fight the Radscorpions, which normally I'd be super thrilled about, but then they turned it into an Aliens like experience where I'm like, well, you're just mimicking aliens now. And then when they uncover Area 51 with the giant fans, which made no fucking sense, where I'm like, okay, so in pre-war years, they thought that the base would be covered by sand and these giant fans would come up and blow it away. I'm like, okay, like, granted it's Fallout, it's kind of goofy, but like that kind of pushed my plausibility there, even though Fallout's not supposed to be plausible. And then like they do things like joke repetition, like because when they started, like the Brotherhood started like setting up shop in Area 51, obviously. But then they had that one scene where like they find the icebox with the alien in it, and I'm like, oh my god, please don't do aliens in Fallout. But regardless of that, the joke was, oh my god, it's an icebox. Like they had refrigeration back then. Okay, and that was funny.
Yeah, but I agree. I laughed at that too.
But then they did it again, because then they found that the super sweet, like, you know, 50s red hot rod. But instead of driving it around, they start shooting it up. But the joke was placed so close to the other one that it actually fell flat for me. So I'm like, oh, they're just repeating the same theme of the joke again. Now, to the show's credit, I think it was episode 2, they did do some great stuff where like where Maximus is like, you know, doing the fisticuffs in the Brotherhood of Steel ring, and the camera is panning around to show the people screaming and yelling and getting all the bloodlust. And I thought that was perfect because it's showcasing, well, if the Brotherhood wins, this is the kind of society that's going to result. And I'm like, that's perfect. But those moments were so rare. And then other critical moments, like, okay, so when they're in the hospital, the ghoul gets poisoned. You know, Lucy has a choice between saving the Legion slave or saving the ghoul. But as you and I know, that's not a choice.
Yeah.
Like, because the ghoul's going to survive no matter what. So like, if there's a question of someone suffering, but yet they both live, like, is that really a choice? And like, even she admits it.
Yeah.
So then I'm like, well, all the tension got evaporated there. And like, there were so many things like that where I would have to watch it for 10 minutes. I'd get frustrated, take a long break. I'd forget why I was frustrated. Then I'd start watching it again. Another 10 minutes would go by, if that. Like, there were some times where like, it would be less than a minute before I'd turn it off again. Like there was one moment in episode 2 where like Maximus's friend is saying, "Hey, what about that girl in the wasteland you met?" And Maximus looks off to the side, and you can tell like he's supposed to be despondent, but the framing and the camera work in that scene is so fucking bad that like it was hard for me not to laugh out loud, and I had to shut it off like within a minute. And I'm like, these are basic cinematography techniques for conveying emotion, for framing a scene, and you guys are just being clowns about it. Like it's like grow some skills.
Oh damn, get good. Well, I can definitely agree with you on some of these. John Gonzalez wrote Mr. House, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That was his creation.
So,
and, yeah.
But I mean, you're familiar with the character, I imagine.
Vaguely.
Yeah, just a little bit. Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
First off, I think that you were speaking on the actors. I think that what is I'm blanking on his name. The actual Mr. House.
I couldn't tell you. I didn't have the issue with the actor.
He has a really fancy name. I don't know why I'm forgetting it right now.
And also to the show's credit,
Justin Theroux.
Justin Theroux.
Yeah.
To the show's credit, I initially had an issue with its introduction, but then later on I heard why.
Yeah.
That sequence was framed, and I was a little bit better with it, but not completely. Anyway,
okay, fair. No, you're fine. No, you're completely fine. So Theroux comes in and starts doing Mr. House, opposite of Rafi Silver's imposter house body double, which I could see that character having one of those, because if you look at the Howard Hughes ties, if you look at that kind of stuff, these kind of eccentric guys do those kinds of things. Now, to the extent where they're having him on TV all the time and he's the actual I don't know, but sure. But Theroux comes in and mimics Renee's voice so well. Now, I don't know how far, like you said, you didn't get very super far into the show. If one thing is done right, I think Theroux captures the vernacular and the pacing and the actual tone of House's voice like really well. I'm not talking about Rafi Silver, who does a fine job with what he's doing, but Theroux, like, it's like he's voice acting. It's really, I enjoyed that bit of it.
Okay, but, like you and I are on the same page with that, because I rarely had an issue with the actors.
Yeah,
and
neither do I. Yeah,
a lot of them are really good. Even though I think like Kyle MacLachlan is like, I feel like they kind of wasted him. But
he is a legend. He is a legend.
I interrupted you again. Go ahead.
No, you didn't interrupt me at all. No. Go ahead. Finish your thought.
No, that's it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, dude, you just didn't have a problem with the actors. Yeah. I just thought Theroux knocked it out of the park as with what he was given, like what you were saying. So, but with what you saw of Mr. House, would you say that perhaps they didn't understand that character as much as, or like Gonzalez's original like idea for the character?
Well,
or
that's a good question. So
yeah.
I guess I'd start by saying, with a caveat, that I'm not the best judge.
Yeah.
Obviously, the writer and John Gonzalez, if I remember correctly, was actually in the booth with the game version of Mr. House.
Rene I never say his last name, Auberjois or something. Yeah, it's rest in peace.
Yeah,
either way,
that was a shame. Anyway, so my point is, like, John would be the best person to evaluate that, but I thought the introduction, even with the body double, was a bit heavy-handed with all the cash in the trunk and then murdering the lower class.
So that's the real Mr. House at the bar, by the way. That's not the body double. Yeah. So to even further the disconnection, because in the show, Mr. House seems to be okay with slavery when it comes to these mind control things, but in the game, he shuns the Legion for that exact thing. Like, and this is something that it's a hill that I've kind of died on a little bit, where I'm like, this character does not support that kind of thing. So the fact that his whole shtick in this show is we have a mind control device. And if they're using it, by the way, this is what I think they're going to do with it. That everybody who has these little mind control devices are going to walk themselves into an FEV vat and then come back as super mutants, and now they can control super mutants with the mind thing. That's what I think is, like you said, you didn't get into so much into at the end of the second season, McLaughlin, or however you say his last name, his character looks at Lucy and says, well, the surface is the experiment. And I threw my hands in the air and I said, what the fuck do you mean the surface is the experiment? That is not what Fallout is. And I even said on Twitter, I said, you have to understand that is 100% not the case in Fallout. Like there is not, the vaults were the experiment. I know what you're getting at, but stop it. So hopefully they rope that in a little bit, because it sounds to me like the Enclave, by the way, are going to be the ones controlling. It's interesting. And houses in pocket with the Enclave.
Well, TK, I guess I have a question there, because in season 1 they're showing all those I hate to say garage doors, but those bunker-like systems in the Enclave base that are all sealed. And my suspicion was that they were going to use the mind control stuff on Deathclaws.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
So, I mean, so I was sort of expecting that, but like the mind control like that just felt a little. It's another technological curve that I don't know if Fallout really needed.
No, and I'm with you on that. There's and I believe Tim has said it before too. There's already so much going on that and you said the thing about the aliens. Now Bethesda has made Zayton's canon with their DLC in Fallout 3, and that's fine. It was a fun romp into space. It's a bit well, it's silly is what I mean. It was not fine. I like that. But what I'm saying,
no, because TK, there's one moment in Mothership Zeta that ruins it. Otherwise, like, I was having a great Time Bandits experience. I'm like, oh well, I've got allies from across time that have been kidnapped, and like they'll fight alongside me. I got a samurai. It's awesome. But then they had one voice log that ruined everything.
What was it?
Where it's like that it implies that the aliens mind controlled the president to start the war. And I was done. I was like, wrong, fired, gone.
Yeah. Wrong, fired, gone. So when I say it's fine, I meant the experience of the DLC
sure.
is fine. I've always thought about the lore implications of the Lone Wanderer suddenly having giant mothership at their disposal where they could literally go to any place on the planet is a little silly. But especially when they just go back to the Capital Wasteland. But I figured game limitations, fine, whatever. But what you're saying, what's funny is it never clicked in my head I just thought, because people have all these theories about the war, until I talked to Tim. I remember the first time I met Tim down in Seattle, we were talking and he was like, yeah, well, China dropped the bombs first. And I was like, what do you mean? And he was like, oh, is that not common knowledge? He's like, that's what I was thinking at first.
It's certainly not common knowledge in the show.
No.
Whereas as far as I watched, mysteriously that all got wiped away. I wonder why. How curious. I mean, it's not like they were trying to not alienate the Chinese market or anything.
No, with their Fallout Shelter Online demographic over there, which is a smash hit over there. And only that Asian market gets it. We don't get it over in the United States, which is interesting too. But I mean, I don't know how that comes to. I am dumb to game development. I am dumb to marketing.
No, actually, but TK, but you're not dumb to money.
No,
you know how the
Chinese. I've heard the Chinese money is. I've seen it. I've seen its effects on people. Let's put it that way. Yeah. So when I can look back to playing the first Fallout and wondering as a kid, because I was 11 when I played these games for the first time. I was a youngin'. I remember not even really thinking about who dropped the bombs. It was more about this experience of this world post that happening. And then with the way the first one, like Ron Perlman's narration pretty much tells you there was a big war, China bombed the United States. Now, he doesn't necessarily say that they did it first, but I mean, he explains that there's this exchange going on. So it never really crossed my mind until Bethesda got the series and started running wild with the Vault experiment, started running wild with, well, maybe Vault-Tec did it. Maybe the Enclave, and the Enclave being in cahoots with Vault-Tec. I think that was part of your guys' original plan, wasn't it? With the Enclave coming in and collecting the data from Vault-Tec.
I am pretty sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm trying to think back to it, because like my first exposure to the Vault experiments was a list that Tim had drafted up for the different types of experiments, which must have been a blast for him to do because they were so funny. Well, not to the people in the vaults, but
no, yeah, I understand.
What I mean. But yeah, so. Okay,
yeah, because I remember the Starship, whatever it was called. I remember that being a thing. I'm pretty sure Bethesda's retconned that at this point. Which again,
wait, when you say Starship, what do you mean?
So now this is just from memory. So please feel free to correct me if I'm wrong.
Sure.
So what I was to understand was one of the original ideas was Vault-Tec was doing these experiments to test.
Oh yeah.
Different things for a starship for the Enclave to go up. Yeah.
And Tim wanted the series to go into space.
Yeah. And Van Buren was going to see that happened.
Briefly, yeah.
Yeah, and that's Joshua Sora's baby. So I don't know how much
Well,
about.
going into space with, I mean,
No, I meant Van
Josh.
Buren as the project was like his project, right?
No.
I thought he
Oh no,
was
I'm sorry. Well,
lead.
I mean, once I left, it was.
Oh,
The,
so okay, I was under the impression that
oh
he
yeah,
was
I'm
the
sorry,
lead.
TK. Let me outline that for you.
Yeah, do
So,
that, please.
okay, so before I left Interplay, I think it was 2008, mid 2008. I've been working on Van Buren for like 3.5 years,
Oh shit. Okay.
and then running all the pen and paper sessions and testing out the mechanics and all the stuff that we would hopefully get into the computer game. And another thing about the pen and paper sessions is I tried to draw in people like Josh, who would hopefully be working on Van Buren when it
Yeah.
got fired once Baldur's Gate 3 was all done with its production.
Okay.
And then Baldur's Gate 3 got canceled because of an accounting error, which we don't. Very suspicious on Interplay's part. I'm pretty sure a payment wasn't made to the right parties. So
Okay.
like progress. And as soon as Baldur's Gate 3 got canceled, everybody on Baldur's Gate 3 moved over to Van Buren. But the moment that Baldur's Gate 3 got canceled, I knew that Van Buren wouldn't happen because regardless of the team's intentions, regardless of how much we love to get it done, how many hours we put in, it wouldn't matter because Executive Row would likely do something, which they eventually did in December of 2008.
Okay.
They're like, nope, Van Buren's just not going to happen. We're just going to cancel it no matter how much work you've done. Which, I mean, we honestly, you could just see the writing on the wall.
Yeah, I'm sure you could. Yeah.
So anyway, so that the 3 to 3.5 years was sort of like the first stage of Van Buren. Then I departed. Josh took it over for the rest of 2008, and that was sort of the second stage. It did use stuff from the first stage, but that's what it became Josh's.
Okay, I understand now. For some reason, I was under the impression that he was just like the project lead from the beginning. So thank you for clearing that up. And that actually makes talking about it as we go even better. That you were a part of the project, that you were pretty much in charge of making that happen.
It could be better, it could be worse.
well, actually ties into something I want to get into. I guess we can just kind of bounce around anyway, but. I always looked at New Vegas as if the events of Van Buren happened. Maybe not down to a T, but a lot of people are like, well, Fallout New Vegas is the real Fallout 3. But I'm like, I feel like Fallout New Vegas is the real Fallout 4. Because I feel like maybe you don't see Tibbets, you don't see these things. But with the way Joshua Graham is in New Vegas versus how he would have been in Van Buren, the way the Legion is in New Vegas versus how they would have been in Van Buren, it feels like... because that first battle of Hoover Dam happened in New Vegas canon. Wasn't that supposed to be part of Van Buren, that first battle?
No, in Van Buren, at least the first stage, Hoover Dam was actually a community.
Yeah,
What
okay.
had happened was all the debris and wreckage that had come down the Colorado had actually slammed up against the dam, and they'd actually built structures and stuff on the high side of it. And then NCR occupied that, but it was a very precarious thing, as most of the communities in Van Buren were. So there wasn't going to be a large like Hoover Dam battle. Hoover Dam battle was a very New Vegas thing, but Hoover Dam was in Van Buren.
Okay. So that kind of does punch a little hole in my theory, but
what is it? What is your theory?
So my theory is that New Vegas acts as if the events of Van Buren happened. Maybe not all of them, but some of them.
You're partly right. So the way I'd say it is that there are certain things that were going to take place in Van Buren that do happen during the time of New Vegas. So for example, all the caravan wars, like that was going to be a big part of Van Buren, because the reason I'm shaking my head is because I feel bad for NCR for what I'm about to say. NCR in Van Buren was much like it was in New Vegas, in the sense it was trying to rebuild.
Okay.
And the problem was all the merchants and trade routes got together, and they were really running everything. And NCR had, because they controlled all the pipelines for all the goods being traversed across, the Mojave and California. NCR basically had to answer this merchant mafia, and it was awful.
Okay.
And the merchants did not freaking care about anything other than getting their caps. So like NCR was in double trouble because holy shit, like they can't even make effective like government and strategy as long as these merchants sort of held like a knife to their necks.
Okay.
So we saw a little bit of those caravan wars in New Vegas. So technically, that was sort of a Van Buren thing that was going on. So there were some events that were in Van Buren that are sort of like taking place in New Vegas, but not a ton of them.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because we don't see the
We did,
spaceship.
I did try and set up Van Buren for the end of New Vegas, and that's why all those nukes go off. Because I'm like, well, I need to destabilize some regions. I mean, not wipe out factions, but I need to shake up both the Brotherhood. I need to shake up NCR. I need to have them even more at each other's throats in California. And so that was a reason for some of the precursor decisions for some of the DLC stuff and some of the stuff in core New Vegas.
Okay.
When we still thought we'd be able to do New Vegas 2 or whatever the title would be, but
You
then
just you saying New Vegas 2
that quickly evaporated.
You saying New Vegas 2 is going to send a lot of people through it, by the way. There's a lot of hope out there. There's a lot of hopium for something like that to happen.
It will not happen in the next 6 years at least.
I told them,
if ever.
Well, I told them you got the show, and that's what they're considering to be New Vegas 2. And
and the show's laying all the groundwork for whatever I guess Fallout 5 is going to be, as far as I understand it. So
didn't they tell you not to use San Francisco when you were originally pitching? Yeah, so I bet you Fallout 5 is probably going to be
it's quite possible.
Yeah, I always wanted to see New Orleans. I feel like New Orleans would be an amazing spot.
Oh yeah, holy shit! So one of the designers / producers on one of our other projects suggested New Orleans location, and I was so stoked for that because it's gonna be a weird reference, but there is an old comic franchise that was started by this author / artist Matt Wagner called Grendel. And a lot of the Grendel stories are very post-apocalyptic. And there was one that was written in New Orleans. It was called like Four Devils, One Hell. And it's a fantastic story. But as soon as I read it, which while I was doing Fallout research, ironically enough, I'm like, man, this makes me want to do a Fallout New Orleans so bad. Because like the vibe was so cool, the flavor was so cool, and like it is still Fallout, but it was in a different area that felt different. There's a lot of potential there.
Yeah, same. Because like what you're saying, the place already has so much amazing background lore and culture, and then if you put some retrofuturism on that, nuke it to hell.
Yeah.
Oh
hell
man,
yeah.
it would have been good.
So sweet.
That's what I was always like, man, if they ever do another spinoff, like New Orleans is. Ugh. But it says I have some notes put up here. Project director on Dead Money, a narrative designer on Honest Hearts, project director on Old World Blues and Lonesome Road, correct?
Yeah, I'm trying to think what I. Oh yeah, I know why I'm narrative designer on Honest Arts, and the reason I paused there is because I was trying to remember what I actually wrote for.
What did I do?
Well, it was a weird situation because the way the DLCs were structured, it was kind of a leapfrog situation. We're like, hey, we're going to start on Dead Money, but we have to work on Honest Arts at the same time. And then as soon as I'm on the Dead Money, I have to switch over to Old World Blues. And the reason I paused is because at the very early stages of Honest Hearts, when I had a little bit of time, I did a lot of journal entries and narrative structure for like, hey, here's how we need to foreshadow the arc of the DLCs. Here's all the logs that I need. And I wrote all those out. And here's where they need to be placed. And then like a day before we had content lockdown, I found that none of it had gotten added.
Oh, shit.
And I was like, what? I laid out everything. I'm like, guys, like this is from my perspective, it's like a dream design where I'm like, here's all you need to do. Like this is just it. That's it.
Here you go.
They forgot about it, didn't do anything about it. I'm like, and thank God I was playtesting. I'm like, wow, where's all that stuff I asked for? Nope, wasn't in there. So I'm like, guys, start adding to the text editor right now.
That's
because that stuff has to go in, or else the DLC cadence is going to be all off. But they got it in. But it was kind of a shame that no one was on top of that.
Okay, so you were more involved then with Dead Money, Old World Blues, and Lonesome Road.
Yeah, almost total. I was almost fully occupied narratively with all three of those.
Okay.
Slightly parts.
Well, then, first off, I want to say that Dead Money is probably the most Fallout-esque experience that we get in the 3D Fallout worlds. Being stripped of everything you're comfortable with, and the whole environment's out to get you.
Not the best decision, but yes.
Yeah, no, but I think it paints a very serious tone when it comes to that. Like I don't know. Like I like the setting of New Vegas the most out of all of the Fallout games, but it's because I liked Fallout 2 so much. And then, well, the first two, going from those, and then here's another chunk of that area and that setting of New California and Nevada. So when we go see the Sierra Madre and we are experiencing what I consider to be a hellscape, like in the most traditional sense of the word, I just think it was really well put together. Like you seem to have some kind of, what are your
well, so a few things. So when you say hellscape, you're more right than you know. That the whole feel of that DLC was sort of create like an underworld atmosphere where, like, the ghost people, like, well, obviously there's a tie there in terms of like underworld aspects. A lot of the ghosts in the Sierra Madre, like, again, we're trying to reinforce that theme. So like it was all catering to sort of the survival horror aspects of it. And
okay, so we were taking. Thank you, by the way, for coming back.
Oh, no worries at all. I'll just keep doing that as needed.
Okay, so we were talking about Dead Money, Hellscape, ghost people, giving the vibe of the underworld. Okay.
Yeah, so again, like those elements that I mentioned for reinforcing that underworld, like, we're beyond in a beyond death experience, and we felt that would cater to the survival horror theme. The reason I'm making these expressions and I have hesitations about it is because despite what I thought would be cool as an examination of Fallout, it was so different than the core experience it was obviously a huge turnoff for a lot of people, and I completely understand that.
Fuck them.
Well, when it comes to sales and reviews, it matters.
I'm being facetious, but yeah.
And also, Bethesda used review scores against us for the DLCs for like why they didn't want to keep doing things with us anyway, even though they didn't want to do anything anyway. So whatever.
We should definitely talk about that.
It was fun. It was fun. They had a whole PowerPoint, not even about the DLC. They had a whole PowerPoint about all the things Obsidian did wrong, and we're like, wow! And they showed it to us, and we're like, okay,
that's absolutely wild.
This is hugely morale boosting. I thought we did a good product for you guys that kept Fallout public consciousness, but you guys don't seem very happy about it, despite the fact you reaped a lot of the rewards for it. So anyway, so there was that. So like my issue is just that I think that the vision for a survival horror experience, the way that we did it in Dead Money, was a little too different than the core experience in Fallout, that it was kind of a turnoff to people because they're so used to like headshots and like stim packs always being available, that like being forced to adjust your play style, not to mention the bomb collars, which were
bomb collars are a little overboard. I will
yeah and so
I do agree with that.
So quite a difference there.
Well, what's funny when you mentioned the stim packs is I am a stim pack hoarder. When I play those games, I have 400 or 500. A couple hours in, they are the thing. They're my economy in that game. I give them. So when you go there and you get the vending machine code for the stim packs, I literally use all of my Sierra Madre chips for stim packs. I leave there with like 450 new stim packs. So I feel like it makes up for it by how many you can get.
Oh yeah, well, so that must make you really well
break the game, but. No, I can understand what you're saying though, because it is there's definitely a difficulty curve, I bet, going I've played it so many times now that though I do dread it. I will say, because I stream the game a lot, I do dread coming to Dead Money because I'm like, okay, because like you said, the pace changes. You have to do things differently. But the story is so good. Christine, who wrote Christine and Veronica? That was all you?
No. Veronica was written by another narrative designer for the core game, and then I asked for some lines to be added.
Yeah.
But Christine was all me because
Christine's so good.
Christine was from Van Buren, even though she had a voice in Van Buren, and actually she had hair. So
Oh, damn, I didn't know that either. You were teaching me
yeah.
all types of fun stuff. I got to show you when we put together this. It's different now. Bethesda got involved. That's all I'm going to say about it. But we put together this party in Good Springs every year for New Vegas. And
Oh yeah, I'm familiar with it.
okay, cool. Yeah. So when I say we put together, there's a lot of people that did a lot more work than I did putting it actually together. But Steve, the guy who owns Good Springs, for the most part, he owns the saloon and he owns the store, so he owns Good Springs. He got in contact with me when he first did it, and he was like, "Oh, hey, I'm doing this thing. I want you to come down." And so I started promoting it, and everybody came. I was the only person promoting it, so anybody who was there on the first one, like, literally found out about it from me. So it was like I was Brad Pitt down there. I was signing autographs, taking pictures with people.
Oh,
It was
nice.
wild. It was wild. But there was this woman, and I've become friends with her. But she did a cosplay as Christine, and she didn't talk the entire time, and did makeshift sign language, like not perfect American sign language, but like post-apocalyptic. She was so. I'm gonna send you
method acting. Nice.
She was so good at it. She just had twins too, bless her heart. I'll send you some pictures. I'll put them on the screen too for people. But
Okay.
I'll send you some pictures of her cosplay because it blew me away. Like, she went full bald. There wasn't a bald cap or anything.
Wow.
I think she was already perhaps bald, and so she had made that choice before. But she might have made the choice and just kept the look. I don't know, but she killed it so hard. She won the costume contest. Let's put it that way. And people showed up.
That's awesome.
Somebody showed up in APA, like a functioning set of APA, and she still won the costume contest.
Wow.
I gotta send you something. Yeah, I'll show all of this on screen.
Absolutely. Yeah, I want to see that. Hey, TK, really question. So you were there for the most recent one, right?
No, I was not. Like I said, it's changed. I couldn't afford it this year, but
Okay.
there's a reason. Like Goggins and Co were there, and all of the devs for like a bunch of. I'm surprised you weren't there because a bunch of the devs from Obsidian were there.
Well, actually, the Obsidian devs, from what I heard, actually were sort of regulated to the back, and it was a similar situation.
So you see what I mean when I say it's changed.
Yeah, and also like this is really crazy, but when the season 2 of the Fallout show was, about to air, apparently there was a very small select group at Obsidian who got warning emails that they weren't going to be allowed to post or say anything Fallout or about the Fallout show, apparently, around the time of its release, which I thought was really scary. Which I'm all about just let devs speak. Like, just, it's fun. Like, unless like you're super sensitive or super thin skinned, it shouldn't be a huge deal like that. But like, they just get so wound up about it, where it's like, you need to relax because you're actually doing more damage to the brand by trying to keep it so tightly, like crush counter voices or a different opinion. It's not like, John Gonzalez hates Mr. House at all. Like, he would love to talk about that character.
Yeah.
He developed that character. He made that character. It'd be nice if he got some credit for it. Like, is it really so bad if he speaks about it? I mean, is it bad if Tim says something? Like, give me a break.
I agree 100%. And I remember I haven't met Josh, but when Josh gets asked about Mr. House, because a lot of people just assume Josh wrote everything because of being so he the last few times I've seen him get asked about certain characters, he's like, well, talk to John, talk to this person, like, these are the people that did this. So it obviously, I mean, of course he's going to give credit where it's due, but it's nice to see that way people understand that how many people did contribute, what people did contribute. And like I said, I'm learning now things that I didn't know that you did, that you were like the whole beginning of Van Buren and all that stuff. I literally thought that was Sawyer's love child.
Well, one of the strengths of Josh, and he has many, is he absolutely goes above and beyond to make sure that each team member that contributed something that you're speaking about or bringing up, he makes sure that those people get credit. And I wish that wasn't such a rare thing. But he and Tim are both great about it.
Yeah, well, and see, I've met Tim, so I can speak on that. Tim, and we had talked about it yesterday, me and you, is just one of the nicest people. In my opinion, to a fault. Like, he's too nice. You don't have to be so nice, Tim.
Tim is a rare treasure, and he is one of the kindest, most ethical people in the industry, in an industry where ethical people are sometimes way too rare.
Well, it's unfortunate, and
Yeah.
well, it's not unfortunate that we have Tim, but it's unfortunate that it's rare. So one of my personal favorite DLC for New Vegas is Old World Blues, because of I always look at it as like the wacky sci-fi bit of Fallout for New Vegas. So first off, thank you for for Old
Oh,
World
sure.
Blues, but I'd love to talk about it a little bit. Uh, that was something. Big Mountain was something that was going to at least be referenced in Van Buren as well, right?
Yep, it was a little
Yeah.
bit different in Van Buren. In Van Buren, it was a military training camp,
Okay.
and it'd be run by like Mr. Handies and robots that you could go through obstacle courses and see how the power armor troops were trained before they got shipped off to various
Okay.
regions of the world. But for New Vegas DLC, we're like, well, why don't we take the old Boulder Dome idea that we had for Van Buren, and we combine that with Big Mountain or the Big Empty, and see how that works. And even the opening slides were actually the intro that I wrote for the pen and paper campaign for when the characters got to Boulder Dome,
Okay.
and I was almost able to use that verbatim for the Old World Blues intro, and then after that, like all the ideas came pouring out. But I think a lot of the joy from that DLC just actually comes from the fact that when we started it, I just told all the developers, look, just have fun with this, man.
Yeah.
Like, if you're a level designer, you've always wanted to try something. This is the DLC to do it. Like, you can just like go free of the reins, just go. Like, as long as it doesn't break the budget, have fun with it. And everyone did in really great ways. And like every member of that team added something unique to that DLC. And I got to be honest, just from the part that I was doing, I'm like, I don't think this DLC is gonna go over very well because when people try and be funny, that's a very dangerous thing.
Fair enough. Yeah.
But then the reaction came back, and all the stuff that I thought would fall flat didn't. And I'm like, wow, oh, what a relief.
Yeah. No kidding. I can imagine that. Now the Lobotomites that we see in Big Mountain, are those the same Lobotomites that are featured in the original Fallout art that are climbing up the? You see the vault because they.
Yes.
I was gonna say yeah, they have the similar. So does that? As far as you know, with like your creative backing behind it, do those Lobotomites come from Big Mountain? Or, I mean, I guess they're taken there and then lobotomized there, correctly?
Right. So they're taken from all over the wasteland, technically. But also, we left the door open that they could have been in cryogenic and then popped out because a lot of them are in surgical scrubs. But we felt we could explain that with being in the cryo chamber, or what we could do is just say that once they got kidnapped by the Big Mountain Brain think tank, then when they go for their procedures, they all get in their scrubs anyway.
Yeah, fair enough.
Paula does her vivisection party. And actually that point translates into something that we were intentionally trying to do with Old World Blues, specifically what you meant with the lobotomites. We're like, hey, there's that old Fallout 1 picture where
Yeah.
like all those enemies are. I tried to go back through all the stuff in Fallout 1, Fallout 2, stuff in Fallout 3, and also Wasteland, a lot of the Robo-Scorpions.
Yeah, I was going to say, Wasteland's like
Yeah.
one of your favorite games, isn't it?
Oh yeah, there's so much. For the time, it did so many things brilliantly that I kind of wish that future Wasteland games would have recaptured that. But that's a other story. But the point was, I wanted Old World Blues to feel like, hey, here's the museum of all the stuff that led up to Fallout. Like, here's all the inventions and the stage of the creatures that came into being, and like here's how power armor got started. Now, we weren't able to use about half of those ideas because Bethesda said, okay, no power armor, you can't do that. Like, some of those weapons are okay, but like the proton axe is okay.
Love the proton axe.
That was directly a Wasteland reference from the weapons you get in Wasteland. And then, of course, the Robo-Scorpions already mentioned. But like, I tried to look for hallmarks like that, where I'm like, wouldn't it be cool if Old World Blues was just like a gallery of all this stuff that like is Fallout lore? and then like it's all in the crater. You can experience it, you can interact with it, you can definitely fight it. So it just seemed like it'd be a nice way to say, hey, we want to pay respect to the franchise, and here's a place where we lay out all the roots for what made Fallout what it is.
You know, you saying that, it clicked in my head after you said this. Like that's exactly what it feels like too. And I think it's very well done. The sync kind of steals the show, in my opinion. Like the sync and all the gadgets, around it.
I'm so glad it did.
Yeah, no, it definitely does. But thinking, oh, and there was a question I asked you years ago, like 6 or 7 years ago, about the hexagon structures that are.
Oh, the hex creep.
Yeah. So, and there was something I had read that said that they were biological. And I asked you about that. I was like, are these living things? And you said not necessarily.
Okay, so I can say most definitely they're just not.
So they don't grow?
They're basically like a mineral lattice that would get filled out chemically.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense. Okay.
Sorry,
yeah.
I probably should have said that in the answer because that's a lot more clear.
Well, no. Your answer was fine. I was just trying to brush up on like what exactly the deal with them was. It's just, anyway, that whole environment is very fantastic, and it is, in my opinion, it's very Fallout-esque. If you're going for a museum of Fallout, I think it pulls that off incredibly well. But something you had said, you were talking about the classic Fallouts, so let's jump back to that. You didn't work on the first one.
No, I did not. But here's why I'm holding my face in my hands, is because
that was more of a question, not an accusation. By the way,
no, I mean, I remember the night that Tim Kaine walked into my office, and he goes, "I think we need another writer for Fallout," and I was on Descent to Undermountain, but I would have loved to have gone to Fallout, but you don't suddenly switch horses on a project that's actually that the other project needs you on. So I had to say no, even though I really didn't want to, and I still wish I hadn't said no. But so I regret that. But what I don't regret is that I recommended to Tim that he speak to another designer in Interplay, Scott Benny.
Yeah.
Who's was a great writer, and he was a great friend. He was the guy who like first gave me a place to live when I came out of California.
Oh, wow. Okay.
He had the good soul, good person. Unfortunately he passed many years ago, but good guy, and he did some great work for Fallout 1. Like he did some of the layouts for Morpheus and
nice.
The cathedral, and like some of the lines that he wrote still stick with me to this day. Like they were so good. But like anyway, I guess that's just my short way of saying it all worked out for the best.
Yes,
except for me.
Oh no, I understand the sentiment, but I think we're gonna see you are I don't know. It's hard to know how you're interpreted by others. You can read things on the internet, but I can tell you from someone who's a fan of this series, at least, you are considered like way up here, like way up in the legendary status because of at least your work on this game. So, or on these games rather. So, though you may be like, oh, I wish I would have worked on the first one. Whatever has happened in the past that has led you to this point, like people hear your name and know good writing, good game design. They want you on projects. So, and I hear this all the time from people. They're like, "Oh, I want him to make another Fallout." So they want you. There's everybody. What was that?
That's very kind.
Well, no. It's just everybody. Like seriously, you were considered probably, as far as I know. Like, and I'm not just trying to butter you up here. Like people literally consider you to be a legendary writer for this series. So. The reason I brought up the first one, though, is because you're referenced as an NPC. At least I would assume that it's not just somebody with the same name. So could you tell us a little bit about that? Like,
yeah. So one of the mistakes you can make as a new developer is you can think inside jokes are really funny. Okay. And I personally don't like inserting characters into games that are quite clearly based on someone else or someone on the development team, because it's sort of a self-aggrandizing joke, even though you didn't do it. So I don't really support it. Now, our CEO Fergus, however, felt very differently about his inserts, where he was like, "Oh, I really like there should be a Fergus in every game," and I'm like, "No, there shouldn't be." Because it takes you out of the experience when you see it. Like you might get a cheap laugh out of it, but long term, too many of those jokes will spoil the tone and the ambience, and we found that happen, at least in my opinion, when we with Fallout 2. Like
Yeah.
it went too far in that direction, which Old World Blues kind of brushed up against it. But one of the mandates for Old World Blues was you can't break the fourth wall unless it's Wild Wasteland. Like otherwise, all the humor has to be self-contained to the Fallout world. You can't bring outside jokes in unless it's for Wild Wasteland. That's it. And everybody adhered to that.
Well, I think Wild Wasteland is a terrific tool to do such
I
things.
do not think so.
Really? Okay. Tell me
Can I
about
tell
it.
you why?
Yeah, please.
It is one of those traits, and Fallout 3 also had these traits where if you choose it, you get more content.
Okay.
That means if you don't choose it, like you won't get it. And like you might be saying, oh, well, then just choose it. Well, the problem is that's something that you're taking in character creation that's actually depriving other people of the full content. Like, sure, sure it's unique, and sure they're kind of like wacky stuff, and it's a great way to differ. My preference would have been it's an option in the interface.
Okay.
That's not
Like
that's
hardcore
not
mode.
Exactly.
Okay.
Perfect example.
Okay.
I think that would have worked better, and that would have been more fair rather than tying it to character creation.
Yeah, because to be fair, I pick Wild Wasteland and Skilled every
Yeah,
time.
because
Wild
you
Wasteland
don't
and
want to
Skilled.
mess because you don't want to mess on content. So then another problem that it creates is from a system mechanics standpoint, you're actually telling players that, hey, you're gonna want this choice, and regardless of other options, because this gives you more content. And like it's biased. And for me, I'm like, well, I'm going to choose that no matter what because I don't want to miss a damn thing.
Yeah.
Like I want as much of the experience as I can get. It's not even a question.
Yeah. Well, and there's some sneaky stuff you guys did with that too, where if you take Wild Wasteland, that alien encounter changes, so you miss a unique weapon. You can either get the alien blaster, or you can get what is it? I think it's a Tesla cannon or something like that.
I think so.
Yeah, I some of these guys know exactly where every item in the game is. It blows my mind. I don't know how these guys do it, but
we got into trouble for some of those things because we didn't. It wasn't passed along what some of the jokes were, because like we had the Godzilla gecko that Bethesda didn't realize was in there. But holy crap, when they found out, like, oh great, now we're getting in trouble for this. Like we already got in trouble for the Rorschach test because we didn't get the trademark for that. So those folks came to Bethesda and said, we're gonna have a fun lawsuit in our hands, so pony up. And then like, you could hear all the groans over Bethesda, like, oh my God, like I don't think they realized they should have checked for trademarks from that. We certainly didn't realize it, but
I didn't even think that was trademarked.
That's my God. We had no idea.
Yeah, no, I would have never thought that was trademarked. Interesting.
Things you learn.
Yeah, no kidding. I guess that kind of goes with like, because you guys didn't add Elvis because it was just ungodly expensive, right? Like the music.
That I can't recall. Oh, the music probably would have been astronomical. But I'm still glad that we got
the king in there.
Oh, we got Mr. Vegas. I was like,
holy shit. See, and Wayne Newton.
Oh my God, so perfect.
Wayne came out to the fan celebration last year, and that was the part that when I saw the pictures of it, I said, man, I wish I was there because of that. Like that guy's literally a living legend. Like
he doesn't seem to age.
No, he looks exactly the same as when he recorded for you guys 15 years ago. Like, it's like, man, this guy, no, he's just, I remember watching Roseanne, and Roseanne in shows, like the Roseanne shows, like canon, she loved Wayne Newton. I'm sure she does in real life too. But so whenever he would show up on the show, she'd lose her mind and freak out. And so that was like one of my first like introductions to him. And then, I love lounge singing. I love that old Vegas 1950s, 60s lounge singing vibe. And he still has it, man. He's so cool. Anyway, so I wish I would have went because of that. Like I would have genuinely been really excited about that. And you know what? They should have had Danny Trejo come out because he is always, he pioneers for New Vegas all the time. He's like, this is one of the best projects I ever worked on. Best thing in the world.
Yeah, actually, and he's been a big advocate for getting the remaster going, which is a whole other subject we should talk about.
Oh, we will.
On. But, we can always do more of these, Chris, whenever you're not busy, too.
We can always do more of these, Chris, whenever you're not busy, too. You know, we can always do more of these, Chris, whenever you're not busy, too. You know, we can always do more of these, Chris, whenever you're not busy, too.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
mhm.
yeah. Any questions you want to ask, or any questions the community wants to ask, I'm always happy to address those because I'm not going to be around forever, so might as well get it right from the horse's mouth.
Yeah, I
um,
appreciate it.
well, yeah. So yeah, he's been a really big advocate. He apparently was really great in the studio. He enjoyed the character, and he really added a lot of life to that companion. So like, we were really fortunate to have. And I should probably give credit to Bethesda for that, by the way, because usually Bethesda's voice actor model was they'd get one big person,
Okay.
like, hey, it's Liam Neeson.
Liam Neeson, yeah.
He's going to be the voice actor for the Fallout game. For New Vegas, they approached it differently. We're like, we could probably get 12 to 14 really good, well-known people that are appropriate for a part that won't be like break the bank. And actually, the whole game would be better for it. And so that's why we got
Yeah.
a lot more of a really cool range of different voice actors that really worked out really well.
Yeah, Felicia Day. I
Mhm.
mean, all of them that are in it. Yeah, they all did amazing. And obviously there was a good supporting cast too. Like there's not slouches in the vocal booths well, I mean, like there's some voice actors are better than others. Sure. You know what I mean? But like it seemed like New Vegas you don't hear there's one that's really bad. It's just one line from a character. Okay, Jack from the Boomers when Janet is at Crimson Caravan and it's the love of his life. He's been looking at her through binoculars, so you got
Okay.
to bring her over. So when they finally meet, his line is so deadpan. It's hilarious. Like he walks up, he's like, "Oh my god, I am so happy to finally meet you." Like it's just like that's about the only time in New Vegas where I'm just like, "Oh man, this is rough." But other than that, like even the rest of his lines are fine. It's just like for some reason that one line comes off very like robotic and monotone, but it's really
So
funny each time.
another story about that is I would consider that a bug. Um, and not every QA department would because they've been trained to never bring up issues like that. Like if it's not an actual technical bug,
Mm.
QA has been actively encouraged not to report on it. So like one of the not a lecture, but like whenever we're on a new project, a new QA department comes in, QA lead, I try and tell them that we aren't special snowflakes here at Obsidian or Black Isle or wherever it happened to be. Um, we want you to tell us about things like that because what you just said hurt the experience for you a little bit in a very noticeable, discernible, and a fixable way. And like there was a whole bunch of others like that you may have also encountered. Like there's an NCR leader at the end of the game who literally switches voice actors or
Mm.
switches character model for the same tone. And when I brought it up, the producer's like, so what? Don't care, gonna ship it. I'm like, okay, well, I guess commitment to quality is out the window. But I mean, it's only the end of the game when you're trying to like feel great about everything, whatever. So there were depressing moments like that. But your reaction right there is absolutely why I try and encourage QA to like, please, like storytellers and aesthetics, they can be flawed too. They can ruin the experience for everybody. So please write them up.
Fair enough. It has become like an inside joke during the streams, though. Of like, okay, here he comes to confess his love, and then he's like, "Oh my god, I love you so much," and I'm like, "It's so good every time." But yeah, I understand where you're coming from, though, as somebody who is trying to create something that is immersive, that doesn't have those types of moments in it. It'd be like if I was making a video and halfway through the video, my voice changed to deadpan and I was sad sounding for an hour or something like that, and people are like, "What happened to him?" Like why does he say? It's like so I can understand where you're coming from on that completely. At least when I relate it to my own work. There was something I was going to get to with that.
We were telling voice actors.
Yeah.
And then you brought up that sample line. We were discussing how we had a range of voice actors versus just the one big
Well,
guy.
Josh has brought up multiple times about the Kiwi con as well. And like he gets upset. I don't know if he gets upset about it, but he's like, "Yeah, well, we were running four. I think he said something along those lines. We were running like 4 studios a day for like 8 months at a time or something like that." And he's like, "So if a great con has a Kiwi accent, sometimes you miss something like that." And I was like, "Actually, it adds a lot of charm to the character. It doesn't bother me at all that she has an
True,
accent."
yeah. I mean, there is that, but like that was a horrible experience. And our voice actor producer, I think he got pancreatitis
Oh
during
no.
that. Well, he was drinking too much after the like, because what would happen is they have a grueling day, and they're
Yeah.
like, oh, come out and drink with us, and like he's trying to be social, and it was just too much, and his body's like, nope.
Yeah.
So like there were some casualties.
That's fair. How do you feel about accents in the Fallout world, though? We're in post-war, post-Great War America.
No,
In Fallout 3,
that's
there's... Well, like with Moriarty in Fallout 3, Bethesda did that on purpose. Like, he, lore-wise, has, what I guess, Irish accent. And I believe they say that he came over on a boat from Europe, or his parents did, or something like that, if I remember correctly. But how do you feel about that? Like, do you think that there should be accents? Do you think?
Well, if there's an explanation in the lore,
Yeah.
but from my perspective, it's hard to imagine that the same accents would remain intact, and certainly not in a world that's been scoured clean. Like, if there's a reason for it, like, hey, this community was raised on, Leave It to Beaver reruns, and like
Yeah,
you're
well,
like,
like
okay,
the
well,
Kings. They
yeah,
were raised
exactly.
on holotapes and the
As long as there's a
school.
lore foundation for it, I have no issues with it. But if not, then like, and this was another part of Van Buren too. A lot of the tribes east of the Colorado River had just different ways of speaking because they were raised completely differently than any way we could imagine here in the States, because like their circumstances were different, how they survived was different, like what their source of food, source of water was like. Everything that made up those communities would define their language, define how they spoke. Like, maybe they use sign language, maybe they weave codes into their hair, like, like Ulysses, like all that stuff. Like, it felt like it was worthwhile to experiment with that stuff and not strictly translate accent to accent from the real world, because that's just not plausible without a lore explanation.
Switching gears, because you said something before about 3 hours. So I do want to keep it tight to what you
Sure.
had.
Yeah. We'll no worries, no pressure. Like, I don't like 3 hours is just,
Okay. Well, whenever
really
you
hard
feel
out.
fatigue, tell
You
me.
had
Okay. But let's jump over to Fallout 2.
dun dun dun.
A game that I didn't know how important it was going to be in my life, but then it became one of the first video essays I made was the main quest of Fallout 2 is God tier or something like that.
Oh,
And
okay.
and I talk about I don't even remember what I talked about, but it's pretty much so this is not trying to like get sympathy or anything like that. Well, there's nothing to be sympathetic about, but I'm not trying to tell you a sob story. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
So
Sure.
you know how you have those things through your life where it's just always like, oh, this has always been like this piece of media or whatever it is has always been with me. And like when I was a kid, I came from a little bit of a broken home. Fallout 2, jump on Fallout 2, you forget about that. Then as I go into my adult years, and it's always been, one of my favorite games, my mom died a few years ago. First thing I did, fired up Fallout 2 and just played it for the rest of the day. It's just one of those things where it's like it's always kept like a comfort game for me, if that makes any sense. But what I was for some reason, have you ever heard of those icebergs that people make? There's like lore icebergs where they're like, oh, at the top of the iceberg where you can see the ice, it's like,
Oh yeah, yeah.
okay. So I was looking up Fallout ones, and one of the entries on it was TKs-Mantis and Fallout 2, and I was like, why am I on this iceberg? Like, what does it mean? And then somebody was explaining it in a video, and they were just saying, oh yeah, just everybody knows how much he likes Fallout 2. So I was like, oh, okay. So anyway, and I believe in my notes.
TK. Well, first off, I'm really glad the game was able to be there for you.
Oh, I love it.
I've gotten a few people over the years who have mentioned that, and also I'm really sorry to hear about your mother. I lost my mom a few years ago too,
Oh,
and
I'm sorry to hear
I
that.
didn't have a Fallout too. Yeah, so my condolences.
Well, Wasteland could be your Fallout too.
I could. I just
Get lost
wasn't
in the world.
video games, but yeah. So,
Whatever can do it for you is what I try to do. Yeah, well, moms that's what they do. They grow old and then they leave us, unfortunately. But I am sorry to hear about the passing of your mother. Mine, my situation. What sucks is I was estranged from my mom, and I wish that I wasn't when that happened. And everybody always tells you that too, like, oh, you should make good with your people. But I didn't have an example until that happened. I was like, ooh. Yeah, I probably should have made good, because you never know when that kind of stuff is going to happen, you know.
Absolutely.
But so there's a little bit for people watching the video. Don't be so full of yourself, and talk to them. Talk to your people while they're around. Anyway, it says in my notes, literally just as Fallout 2, it's one of my favorite games. That's the note that I have for this. But no, it's so that's when the Vault experiments really started to kind of show up a little bit, correct?
Yeah,
because we didn't see them at
absolutely.
all in the first one.
Correct. So that's what I'd call like a minor retcon, because like the first game doesn't disprove it,
Yeah, yeah.
but it doesn't exactly support it either. It's like that questionable ground where you can insert it, but it doesn't feel like it was actually part of the first game. And I think that was the case. Tim would know for sure, but to give credit where credit is due, that whole story arc for Fallout 2, Tim, Leonard, and Jason had that set up before they departed Interplay. So like
Okay.
we had that framework to build all the areas out, and we retained a lot of that stuff when doing the final implementation for Fallout 2. But it was all based on their work.
Yeah, Leonard's next for me. I've been in contact with Leonard.
Do you mean?
Yeah, he's next.
Leonard's
No,
next for
I
me.
just feel like me and Leonard would get along really well. I told Tim that, and I was like, oh hey, if you could ever just let him know that I'd love to talk to him like this. And then I got an email from Leonard like a couple months ago, but he had just released Outer Worlds 2, and he's like, I'm doing this right now. And I was like, hey man, you wrote me. That's a step in the right direction. Do whenever you're. So I imagine it's winding down now, so I might get in contact with him again.
Well, CK, the fact you even got an email from Leonard, because Leonard's not a big social media guy. He doesn't tend to write a lot of emails on a social level. He's Leonard, and
That's what I've heard.
But the fact you even got an email, that's actually amazing.
Oh, okay. Well, that's really cool. Yeah, no, I pretty much put it all on Tim's shoulders because Tim speaks highly of me for some reason. But like Tim will wear my YouTube, like my TKs-Mantis shirts on his channel, and I'm just like,
That's Tim.
you are too sweet. You are too sweet. But yeah, no, he's on my list of people that I want to talk to, because I want to talk a bunch of the devs. The one that I don't think I'm going to get is Josh Sawyer. I remember this is why, and this is not a knock on Josh.
Wait, what about Jason?
Oh, I have not reached out.
So Jason's at In Exile working on Clockwork Revolution. He might be up. I don't know Jason super well. Like I know Tim really well. I kind of know Leonard, and I don't know Jason at all.
Yeah.
But imagine Jason might. Anyway.
Scotty Everts, T-Ray.
Yes.
And
T-Ray would be great.
I love T-Ray.
So awesome.
Well, his art. Okay, so like one of the things I like about the classic Fallout so much is the world maps and the art in them, and he's responsible for a lot of that, isn't he?
Yeah, he did a lot of the direction for it.
Yeah,
too, but for some of the implementation, he knew the artists to delegate to. Like for example, Brian Menzies. He actually went to Brian Menzies after I think either Leonard or Jason had explained to T-Ray, hey, we want the Monopoly Vault Boy guy. And T-Ray's like, oh, so it's kind of like this. Either him or an artist named George did the initial draft of it. And then T-Ray's like, well, I can't do 1,000 of these well, because it's not within my wheelhouse, and I have, I'm a director, so I should be overseeing all this. But he knew that Brian Menzies would be excellent for it. And so Brian Menzies jumped in that, and then Brian Menzies did like thousands.
Was Menzies the one responsible for Virgin of the Wastes?
Probably. It was yes, I'm pretty sure.
YouTube took down my video for showing that Vault Boy in it. And I was like, yeah, it's just a little cartoon, but YouTube was like, nah, that's over the line.
It was a different time.
It was. Same with the Baby Killer, the original Baby Killer. I think it adds charm to the Fallout series. It wasn't for kids. It wasn't, you know what I mean? This was an adult game. I played it when I was a kid. I'm not going to sit here and act like it. But my parents weren't watching me, I was able to, they didn't care what I was doing. But I always thought that that is what I considered the dark humor of the series, is stuff like that. Like a pregnant Vault girl getting kicked in the stomach by Vault Boy is an absolutely great representation of the child killer perk.
I am pretty sure that was not the art direction. I'm just pretty sure that it was the idea was explained an implementation happened and then it got in the game. And I'm like, wow, like, because like you think back and you're like, well, you know, it's a little surprising it made it back in then, but by today's standards, like that
yeah, it's a total no-go now.
In any way, shape, or form.
See, I'll be able to show the child killer perk. If you're looking for the version of anybody who's watching this, if you're looking for the version of the waste, Google that. You can see it yourself. YouTube will not allow me to show it on here. I've gotten a video taken down over it.
And there were worse ones that were drawn.
I wish I could see them.
Oh boy, yeah.
Well, you can see like was it the Sexpert where Vault Boy's laying in the bed with the thumbs up with Vault Girl, and then the Kama Sutra Master where they're all twisted together. They were charming, man. It really Vault Boy brings so much. And I've actually had people say, well, isn't it ironic that Vault Boy now is exactly what he was designed to be? And I was like, okay, guys, yes, you're right. But at the same time, he's a charming part of the Fallout series. And I'm really glad that somebody thought to do that, because and again, it plays into it, but the markability of that character is insane. Well, I mean, look at Monopoly. Like you said, I mean, he's loosely based off of Mr. Moneybags or Moneybags or whatever.
It was such a small touch, and I think Leonard was the one who suggested. I think it was Leonard who suggested it. And
I think it is too.
It's really small ideas like that can make a big difference in the feel of the game, and it's very telling that when Fallout 1 was originally GURPS. GURPS RPG. It was really telling that Steve Jackson did not like the Vault Boy.
Steve's like, nah.
Among other things, he didn't like the violence. He didn't like the Vault Boy. So like, part of me is like, thank God GURPS didn't happen.
Yeah, no, actually, I say that the special system is cooler anyway. It gives it its own DNA. And Tim's the one that came up with the special system, if I understand.
Yeah, he had to do that right when GURPS got canceled. Like, okay, I have to rebuild a system.
Absolute genius, man. I would never have been able to make an acronym like that. I would have. Well, project's over. I'm not smart enough to do this.
That's the magic of Tim Kaine.
Yeah, man. He's beautiful, man. That man. Speaking of violence and stuff, I'll ask you your opinion on something you had nothing to do with, but it's more recent. So Fallout 4 recently had its anniversary edition, and when that happened, it was the 10-year mark. And because of that, I believe a lot of the music licenses were up for whatever. Dion has always had a problem with what had happened was Dion saw a fan trailer of Fallout 4 that was just VATS headshots, and it was set to the Wanderer. And he said, well, this isn't what I wrote, what I signed off on. He thought it was an official trailer for the game. And this is from my understanding. So again, check me in the comments if I'm wrong, guys. And so 10 years later, when the license ran up, he was like, nah, like, you're not using the one. And that was the theme song for Fallout 4. So how do you feel about things like that? Like, not necessarily is he in the right, because that's his creative work. If he doesn't want it used in a way, that's one thing. But 10 years later, like, I don't know. I just feel like, I don't know. I guess he's always been an anti-violence protester. So, and it meant something back in his day too. But
I mean, that's a really nuanced issue, and because it's really weird, because that wasn't the context the music was put to. But what happened was, when you look at a fan work, suddenly all the assumptions build up, and then a judgment is made, and it's almost impossible to walk that judgment back. So like, that's what, like, normally I fully support all like fan created content. I'm fully supportive of the mod community. But then there's like landmines like that will happen, where like you can inadvertently do damage just by misrepresenting something without even intending to.
Yeah, I was going to say something completely innocent too. Like, you're just making a highlight, reel, and Dion happens to see it, unfortunately. I don't know. In my opinion, and you might disagree with this actually, one of the strengths of the Bethesda titles is the in-game radio. Even if those songs weren't necessarily in the minds of you guys back in the 90s, I think they did a good job on putting together playlists that fit the series, even though I feel like Bethesda really doubled down on the 1950s got nuked, and we can have this conversation, but it's you can tell in the classic games and partially in New Vegas. So New Vegas is in that time period, it seems like things have moved on a little bit. It's not as frozen as maybe the first one was. But looking at the year 2077 through the eyes of somebody from 1950, and then what would they think it looks like if it got nuked, is a much more nuanced take than the 1950s got nuked. And everything's running on, you know, and
it's an important distinction too.
I think it is too, because a lot of, I don't want to use the term casual fans. I'm not trying to say that anybody who's a fan of this, you know, whatever amount you engage in it is how much you engage in it. But I feel like it does a disservice to the people who are getting into the games at Fallout 4, because of how cool the original idea is. Because when you see pre-war in Fallout 4, which I wish they never did, but
interesting, all right?
Yeah, well, because it was a fucking mystery before. Like it was like you would see billboards, or you would see a pinup or something, and you'd be like, oh, that's interesting. I wonder what it was like. But in Fallout 4, they show you directly what it's like. It's just.
But in Fallout 3 they did too, with like Tranquility Lane, right?
Yeah, but that's a simulation, so that could have been liberties, and they do. Yeah. No, but you're right. No, I could agree with what you're saying there. But to me, Tranquility Lane to me felt more like, this is what this old guy thinks that the pre-war looked like.
Sure.
And I guess I don't know if Braun was pre-war or not.
I don't know
either. If it was the TV show, he would have been, because everybody in the TV show seems to be pre-war.
You know, I will say one compliment I will pay the Fallout TV show for is I felt like they nailed the music. Like the music.
Oh yeah, it's great.
Like they got the whole range. And part of me thinks that because Bethesda had some people of the core executives who actually understood Hollywood, understood licensing rights, I think it was actually easier for Bethesda to get leverage to get a lot of those songs, which I think Interplay would have had to pay like blood money to get.
Oh, for sure.
So that was a huge advantage that Bethesda brought, and it shows in the TV show as well. I had no issues with the music. I thought the music was great.
I like the set design too, because like they took what is being shown in Fallout 4 and replicated it very well. Like when you look at the vaults, it looks like a vault you'd find in Fallout 4. Now, is that the best vault design or whatever? That's up for debate. But they at least replicated what was in that game pretty well, in my opinion. Did you see the Deathclaw?
No.
Did you? Okay. So did you hear about the fact that it talks in the show?
You're lying to me.
I'm not lying to you. I wouldn't do this to... Dude, we feel the same way about talking Deathclaws, by the way. I fucking hate the talking Deathclaws. But so somebody pointed this out to me during a stream. I was streaming New Vegas, and I was calling it the lore accurate New Vegas, where I used a bunch of mods to make it look like the show. So Dinky the dinosaur's facing the wrong way. There's a pool in Novak. Like it's the flea soup vendors there. Mr. House is replaced with Justin Theroux. Like I was like, this is the lore accurate way. Actually, this is what it's supposed to be. But someone said, hey, did you hear the Deathclaw talk when it confronts Cooper in Anchorage? I said, what the fuck did you just say to me? No, it doesn't. And I pulled it up, and it sounds like, okay, so like, it sounds like it walks up in a very deep growly voice, says Marine really slowly. Like he's almost like he's reading the armor. Chris? And I went, oh no. So I heard it. I heard what they were saying. It isn't super present. I'm gonna show a clip of it in between me talking here in the video, but so if somebody thinks we're all out in left field here, but yeah, so they may be leaning
my heart just broke a little bit more. The whole talking Deathclaw thing, like my whole explanation on my feelings about it is it kind of makes them less scary to an extent. It does depend on presentation. The other issue is once I realized they could evolve and be nice, suddenly I felt guilty about killing every single Deathclaw in Fallout, where I'm like, oh, look at all the evolutionary trees I just wiped out for an intelligent species. Oh, that's great.
Terrific.
So I mean, that was, and then also there was the issue of it's already hard enough to, in my opinion, to make good 1950s style creatures for Fallout, that if you use them as a new intelligent race and they lose all the monster aspect, especially a Deathclaw, which is like the dragon version of Fallout. Like there's a there's a big thing that you lose there, and all those things kind of bothered me. The whole talking Deathclaw thing, like I just didn't feel right.
Yeah, you canonically killed them, didn't you? Like that's canon, right? That Gruthar and his pack.
Yeah, but that was due to a scripting error.
Oh yeah, just an error. Or
No,
was it
no,
actually a scripting error? I thought
oh,
was it a
there were
malicious
so many,
error?
there were so many bugs in Fallout 2, and one of them was there was no way to save the Deathclaws because of that scripting error, because you'd only get that one ending.
Okay.
Yeah, so it wasn't intentional. It's just how it shook out.
Yeah, well, good riddance.
Well, I mean, I thought the Wanamingos were worse because I mean those were so obviously Geiger-esque. Where I'm like, this doesn't fit at all.
Wow. Okay, I haven't heard your opinion on Wanamingos. I always liked how. Okay, so and correct me if I'm wrong, like I've been saying, but in Fallout 2, when you see them in random encounters, the chosen one's like, oh shit, an alien. Like they have no frame of like, oh, this is a fucking alien. Okay, so you really didn't like it. But then once you get into the Wanamingo mine and you see what they are, you're like, oh, those are Wanamingos, and then the chosen one now knows them as Wanamingos. I always like that change, at least, with the character.
Oh yeah, I mean that's reactivity. It's perfect.
Yeah, that's cool. But,
reactivity is good.
What don't you like? You said they were Geiger-esque?
Yeah, I mean, not to mention what you just said with the alien reference. Just, I mean, the way they look. Also, they felt like a lot of thought wasn't given into the concept of the creature at all. It was, unfortunately, it was a lot like the Deathclaw in Fallout, the model in Fallout 1, because that wasn't a Deathclaw model. It was, oh, we have a Tarrasque model.
Yeah.
We haven't used, oh shit, like we could use it for this, and like we'd have it done. So like those are the kind of crazy development decisions that like led to the look of the Deathclaw. But like, was it the right decision? I don't know. No, I don't think so. So
do you know where
but
any of
still,
those? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
But still, like, you know, now that look is kind of iconic. So it's fine now, but it did bother me at the time. Sure.
Okay. Yeah, I think they're trying to put the Wanamingos in 76. So
They took a lot of stuff from the older Fallout. I mean, like the whole Burning Springs. Like I didn't even realize 76 was going to do anything with that area they did for Van Buren. And then suddenly it was there. I'm like, oh wow, like decades later now that area actually will see the light of day.
Speaking of, before I move on to that, do you know where any of those clay heads are that you guys use for the talking heads?
Brian Fargo might know. I know that the sculptor
I'm gonna hunt them down.
was Scott Rodenheiser. And he was the one who modeled all those talking heads on his own. And it was an art that I don't think it was a craft that I don't think we used much more after the Fallout games. But it's a shame because the process is really fascinating. I mean, I guess they might have used it for Clay Fighter Interplay, but obviously, but in terms of him sculpting those heads, like that whole process is just really fascinating.
You didn't work on Clay Fighter, did you?
No, I had friends that did.
I always thought it was cute. When I was a kid, I was like, "Oh, this is cool." I liked the idea of it.
Ready to crumble.
Yeah, it's just a little fun. Yeah, it was a fun little fighting game. It had character. It had moxie. Let's put it that way. Mayor Chris Avellone appears in Fallout Tactics, but you did not provide voice acting for the role.
I did not, and that's another instance where I just wish they had.
Yeah, you don't like that kind of stuff. Yeah.
No, and then also some of the portraits are just based on developers, and that's not necessarily the problem. The problem is when you look at the portraits, you instantly know that those came from someone specific. Those portraits are someone specific, and you're like, because they don't quite fit, and you're like, oh, it's another inside joke, and like. You just don't need those.
And you didn't work on those at all, did you?
I got consulted for Fallout Tactics, but I didn't actually do any design work on it. I might have given feedback to Microforte, but beyond that, nothing else.
How'd you feel about it?
I didn't like some of the canon aspects, and I know that it kind of got a bad rap from some sections of the community, but I didn't think it was as bad as they were making it out to be. I thought there was probably some lore blankets or some lore paint overs we could have done to make it more canon-esque later on. For me, the big offender was just the console version of Brotherhood of Steel. I thought that just missed the mark in so many ways, and it just I thought that damaged Fallout personally. But no disrespect to the people who worked on it, because Interplay was really suffering around that time, and no offense to the teams, it just didn't feel right.
I informed Tim that Interplay got sued for that. He didn't know about the snowblind. Do you not know about the snowblind thing too?
I did not, but I would not be surprised because
they stole the engine for Dark Alliance, like just completely stole it, and then had to go to court for that. At least that's what the documents online say.
Well, Dark Alliance 1 was developed by blind. But Dark Alliance 2, we licensed the engine for Dark Alliance 2, and we'd pissed off Snowblind so much, which is a repeating pattern in
Oh,
Interplay.
okay.
We just kept pissing people off with our management techniques. And like they gave us the engine, but they were like, fuck you if we're going to answer any questions about it because you guys have been so mean to us. And so like we had to struggle to understand the engine for Dark Alliance 2, among the many other problems the development team had to go through for Dark Alliance 2. It was just like, one more like layer of the shit cake. So
Yeah.
but I didn't know about the Fallout tie-in, but I now realize that definitely makes sense.
Yeah, so from what again, this is from memory, but from what I understand, there was a lawsuit saying, oh, yeah, you weren't, like, you didn't have permission to use, not you, I'm just saying, the lawsuit was like, oh, hey, you're using this engine, didn't have permission, something like that, and I don't know, it was just another nail in the coffin at that point. I think
I hope Snowline got their money.
Oh,
they were a good bunch of guys.
But what I do know is, like what you said, that game did damage to the series. I feel, again, in a perfect world, you guys would have just had Van Buren to work on instead of whatever the fuck was going on with Fallout Brotherhood of Steel. And then the audacity that there was going to be a sequel to it is more egregious to the fact that it exists, in my opinion. Because I just don't understand.
I think it was a good barometer for how Executive Row felt, because like at that time, doing games for consoles was proving to be much more profitable than it was for just doing PC titles. Which was probably which was another strike against Van Buren when the demo was given to Executive Row. Like, aside from the other logistical problems, one was it just wasn't going to be a console title, so that also like dimmed the shine on it too.
Have you played through it all the way?
Play through what?
Brotherhood of Steel?
No, I read all the design documents, and I didn't really want to play it. So
it hurts. So like, I've streamed it in full probably 4 times on the channel.
Really?
Yeah.
You must have inhuman endurance.
Okay, so it's funny you bring that up, because about 3 hours in every time, it is actually painful to play. Like, it goes from just kind of funny, like, oh, haha, that's kind of funny, to just like, oh my fucking god.
So
like,
now you know how I feel watching the TV show.
Yeah, no, that's exactly why I totally respect your opinion on the TV show. I totally get it. Like I said, I went into it being okay with the theme park thing. Being okay that this is going to be a Hollywood adaptation telling a story that is in this universe that I like. And there you go. And the people are like, well, it's going to change. It changes the caninity of this and that. And I'm like, well, fuck. They do it every game.
Yeah, but I mean, what you're saying, though, is I think it's a fair representation of what Fallout's currently like. So I actually think it would have done damage in another direction if it hadn't felt like the games. And people would, for example, if someone who hadn't played Fallout watched the TV series, it's all dark and different, and the older Fallouts, and then they jump into 76 or Fallout 4, it's not going to feel the same, and their expectations will have been dashed in the reverse direction, which I still think is an important thing to keep in mind. So in that sense, I think it's smart that the TV show obviously is like, hey, this is a contemporary Fallout. If you play the games, you're not going to be disappointed. Like, your expectations will absolutely be met.
That's fair. I can't imagine you played much of 76.
I did not know. Mostly because I heard there wasn't much character interactions for the first release of the game, which was a big problem for me. Because for me, Fallout's all about the people you meet and talk to, and the quests and the whole contact with communities. And if that wasn't going to be there, just roaming around a wasteland, mostly killing stuff and finding notes. Unless those notes had all been written by John Gonzalez, there was no appeal there.
Fair enough. They've improved on it a bit, because I've come around on it a little bit.
I heard it's got better, yeah.
Yeah, well, it has. Well, first off, they cast Jason Mewes as a ghoul, and he fucking killed it. He fucking killed it. Probably my favorite character in that entire game. But they added NPCs. They added more story. I'm definitely not the advocate of go play 76. But I found myself finding fun in it when before I was like, this is oof. And there's still parts of it that I'm like, ugh. I don't understand why the Enclave and the Brotherhood have to be fucking involved in everything. Why are they? Maybe I don't know if you agree with this or not. Like the Enclave being on the East Coast makes a little bit more sense to me than the Brotherhood being there. Like when and I'm talking about with Fallout 3, even though 76 takes place earlier. But in 76, they literally say that Maxon's fucking group threw up a beacon and walked to West Virginia. I was like, oh, you're talking about Lost Hills Brotherhood? They just, oh yeah, we'll just walk to West Virginia. Have you met them? Have you interacted with these the same guys that sent you to the Glow when you were like, oh hey, yeah, I'd like to join. Oh cool, we'll go get this thing from the Glow.
And didn't the Brotherhood also like use blimps and Fallout Tactics at Chicago?
Yeah. So Tactics had the Pridwin style Zeppelin things, which that does that bug you?
It bugs me less than the Shield airships. I mean, the Marvel Shield airships that are cruising in the sky. Because I'm like, what the fuck? Like that's like a major like technological advancement where I'm like, wow. And also, it's still existing in the Fallout universe. So that I mean, it's a cool thing, and I appreciate it from that perspective. But for me, it's kind of like, well, that feels like it's kind of pushing the boundaries of plausibility, even though Fallout's not supposed to be plausible. The idea that there's these shield helicarriers, I'm just kind of like, okay, well, if that was someone's decision, so fine. At least they're kind of fun in some respect, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, how do you feel about it?
And we also got our 10-minute warning again. But I'll finish this thought before we do that. I don't like the Brotherhood on the East Coast. I think the Brotherhood should have just stayed on the West Coast. Don't get why they're over there. The Enclave, or if you're talking specifically about their airships, I think in Tactics we see them crashed.
I think so, yeah.
I don't think we see them in action. When there's one or two of them, it's like, oh, maybe this was salvaged in post-war. The Brotherhood, they hoard technology, so it's not impossible to think that they got one of these working again. But in the show, we see like 15 of them in the sky, so I'm just kind of like, to me, it just seems like the Brotherhood has like this instant pass through Bethesda's Fallout where it's like, we're here, we're the most advanced in every area that we're in.
Yep.
And then they turned them into, I don't want to go too hard with what I was going to call them there, but they've turned them into this like fascist regime in Fallout 4.
Oh yeah, they're a bunch of assholes.
Yeah, and it's like what you guys did in New Vegas, I think, is the best version of the Brotherhood, and this is why. In Fallout 2, we see them kind of hiding from the spotlight. They know about the Chosen One because every once in a while in certain big cities are like, hey, we know what you're doing, what the fuck you're up to. And then when the Chosen One finally understands, they're like, hey, we need the vertebrate plans from the Enclave because we're not dealing with that unless we can match them. And then when the Chosen One takes care of the oil rig and everything's all whatever, it's assumed, okay, the Brotherhood has the vertebrate plans now. They're going to be a little bit more advanced than they were before. But they were hiding. Like, they were hiding from the... I don't necessarily want to speak too far ahead of myself and say they were hiding specifically from the Enclave, but they weren't flying airships through the sky saying we are here and we're
we Brotherhood, we're here,
ad Victorium, and you're like, what the fuck is so when you see them in New Vegas and they're still doing that in that area where I mean their biggest, maybe it's not their biggest problem, but their biggest problem in New Vegas is themselves underground, like where it's like, I don't like what McNamara's doing, I don't like the, and that's the conflict that they're dealing with. They had just fought the NCR in a war that they I don't know if they shouldn't have done it, but neither side came out of that looking very great, so now they're back, like kind of like, and then you have Veronica out there who's kind of like that mouthpiece of, like the Brotherhood, like running her mouth about all that when it comes to that, and that's kind of like, anyway, I just feel like that version of the Brotherhood resonates more with me than World War II antagonist Brotherhood in Fallout 4, where they roll in with their leather jackets and their militaristic. And I don't know. It's just
No, yeah, it's not an I don't know thing. It's I know what you're saying. But part of the problem is I feel like the Brotherhood was originally envisioned as more like, we're techno paladins,
yeah.
like, and there's
There's
certain
a
heroic,
religion there.
there's a certain aspiration to it. Like, sure, like they may have their focus a bit misguided by worshiping technology, but really, like, there's key points in the game where they just fucking help you. Like, and like they're on your side and you want to be part of them.
Yeah.
So like when you undercut that power fantasy and you're like, no, they're all real assholes and they're really just the bad guys, all that goes away. You don't really have anything to aspire to. It's not like you want to like join up with the Enclave because they're absolutely bad. Like, okay, so like what are you left with? Like just two big asshole organizations in the wasteland, when in fact it wasn't always the case. So like for me, the issue was the Brotherhood never felt originally envisioned like that, and it felt like it went off the rails just to make a adversary, and that was someone's pet project, and aesthetically it doesn't jive with me.
Okay, so yes, how do you feel about Fallout 4's Institute? Speaking of technologically advanced people, and yeah, how do you feel about that?
So I was kind of meh on them until the Fallout TV show. And then after the first introduction of one of the Institute characters in the Fallout TV show, my opinion on them from meh changed to their ass. I hate them. And the reason why is that entire scene where all the Brotherhood's like, oh man, we can't cross paths with the Institute. Like, they'll fuck us up. And I'm like, what? Like, okay, like that's just, here's what it feels like. It feels like someone made a pet faction that they really, really like, and it's better than any other faction in the wasteland, and the Brotherhood's scared of them. And like I get the idea of ramping up a threat, but like the Institute just doesn't feel like it has the background, the strength to be that adversary. And it was actually offensive to me that the Brotherhood would be scared of the Institute, but somehow that's part of the lore. Okay. Like, and then there's the whole idea of synthetics, which I can sort of understand because like that's also kind of a wasteland thing, which so I can see the roots there, even though I seriously doubt like that's as far back as they thought about it. But the technology did feel very overpowered. The only thing that I can think of that I liked about the Institute was something inadvertent that they did that wasn't directly tied to them. What they did is you're absolutely familiar with it, but like if you don't recruit, I think X-23 for your party in Fallout 4, and then you storm the Institute, you actually fight him. Okay. And like that's a super smart design decision. Incredibly simple reactivity for like, oh, you never met him, you never recruited him, you never went down that branch, but now he's just an enemy. That's really simple, effective reactivity. And I love seeing that because seeing small decisions like that remind you that there was another path, I think is a really good thing. But overall, like the Institute itself didn't really impress me. And also, I got to confess, another reason I wasn't really super stoked about the Institute was because in Fallout 4, and this is why I love my wife, figured out how to find every synthetic in the community. And I'm like, well, how are you doing that? And she goes, oh, what you do is you check their electrical resistance with this one perk. And so she would just go around, figure out who has 100% electrical resistance or whatever the resistance was, kill those guys because those are synthetics. And that's how you weed them all out. I'm like, I love you.
That's amazing. I've never even thought of that.
So smart.
Because I knew that they drop synth components when you kill them. But that's like, I just figured, crapshoot.
Because human beings wouldn't have that level of resistance. And then she just checked and she's like, oh, synthetic. Oh, that's a synthetic. Oh, that's a synthetic. Blam, blam, blam.
As a writer, maybe you can chime in on this. How familiar are you with Fallout 4? Like, did you play through it? And
I only played a little bit at the beginning until I got to the museum and I think Concord. And then, damn. Like, the design there was so terrible that I'm like, whatever happens after this point, the juice is not going to be worth the squeeze. And then and that's why I love my wife again, is then she showed me two of the endings for Fallout 4, and then I knew the juice wasn't worth the squeeze. And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm not going to spend 60 to 80 hours on this for those endings, or even what the other two endings might be, because these two are terrible.
Great answer. I usually live in the world instead of going through the main quest, like when we're streaming it.
Oh, the world.
Yeah.
Bethesda are masters about doing that. But the one of the big reasons I just play games is, sure, it's great that there's a world there, but if there's no purpose to it, and then the narrative arc is gonna fall flat at the end, it just makes me feel like my whole
Oh, yeah.
journey was wasted.
Completely agree. And you're not far off. I think the main quest is the weakest of the series. I don't count 76 because it's a different game to me. It's
Yeah.
not. It's it's a Fallout game by name. Let's say, like, I don't look at it as and it's not even an insult to the game, in my opinion. It's just, it's not a Fallout game. Like, we can debate, not me and you, but I mean, like, anybody could debate like what that means. But what I mean by that is, like, I don't get the same experience that I get when I'm playing the classic games, or when I'm playing New Vegas, or when I'm playing even Fallout 3. It doesn't connect with me in that same way.
Sure.
It feels like a different
I
experience.
understand that.
Yeah. Anyways, so out of the main games, I think it has the weakest main quest, because, and actually one of the holes I punch in the Institute all the time is they want you to believe that the Institute's this big baddie, and you don't want anything to do with them, and you don't want anything. And every time I'm streaming it, I'm like, well, guys, this is why I'm siding with the Institute. They're the most technologically advanced thing that's ever existed in the wasteland, so why would I not want to side with them? They have the cleanest living situation, the freshest food, the best water, and anything. This is literally the best place you could possibly be in the wasteland. Number two, their whole argument against the Institute is that synths are actually people, and they have a consciousness, and we need to not treat them like slaves and machines, because now that they've malfunctioned into self-consciousness, now they're people. And I don't agree. You can see them being made in front of you. These are robots. These are not, and actually something that I believe Tim said is Terminator style robots do not belong in the same game as a RoboBrain or a Protectron. And I agree with him on that. But regardless, the synths are here, and that's fine. I just think if your biggest argument is these robots are people too, and the last argument is they leave you for dead in Vault 111. They steal your son. The only person this character is looking for narratively is their son in the wasteland. Their wife was killed in front of them. Now I'm using this as a male protagonist, but their wife is killed in front of them. Their son is stolen. Where's my son? Son turns out to, spoiler alert, son turns out to be the leader of the Institute. Oh, I'm Father Sean of the Institute. Narratively, my character wants to be with their son. That's the only person they know in the wasteland. So all of this is, so to me, it just, like, it makes every other choice fucking stupid, because narratively, roleplay wise, the only, and people are like, well, they're evil because of this. And it's like, well, they capture people. I'm like, you could, in the Institute questline, you see how they capture people, and what they do is they say, hey, you're really smart for somebody on the wasteland. We're going to replace you with a synth, and you need to come work in our science division. They're not out there, like, and again, I'm sure there's other egregious things that have happened, but, and I'm simplifying it a bit, I'm sure I'll hear it in the comments, but to me, it just shows a lot of, I don't know, I'm not trying to shit all over Emil, a lot of people do that on the internet already, but it's just like, it just felt super shallow, and like the decision doesn't even fucking matter anyway, because all the endings are pretty much the same, so.
Yeah, it's
they tried to do what you guys did in New Vegas, and it fucking flopped, is what happened.
Well, I mean, I've been a victim of my own tropes many times, but sort of the one for Fallout 3 and Fallout 4, where it's like, go find the family member, try and inspire, try and make the player care about this family member to go seek them out, is always a tough job in an RPG. Like Baldur's Gate couldn't even do it effectively for me, where I'm like, I don't care that she's my sister, like, she's annoying, like there's no real blood between us. But then, like, so Fallout 3 happens, you go look for your dad. Fallout 4, okay, now you're looking for your son, who's actually feels like your dad now, where it's like, that's too close to the,
I agree.
It's just mirroring each other too much.
I agree. When I first played through Fallout 3, that wasn't in my thought process because I hadn't seen another story
Sure,
like that
exactly.
in the series. So I was like, hey, and then of course you have Liam Neeson fucking killing it in that game. He in some points saves that game, I think. But actually, to give credit where it's due, I like the environment of Fallout 3. I think that there could have been different things instead of super mutants and Brotherhood and all this other stuff. You could have invented something a little. There's Riley's Rangers, the Talon Company, that these two could have had a war. They could have been the Brotherhood and the Enclave in the East Coast. You didn't have to, like, are there even Emperor Scorpions on the East Coast? Questions that I ask myself. But regardless, I understand brand recognition. You're making a Fallout game. You want super mutants. You want the brother. You paid for the IP. You went to court. You did all this stuff. You're gonna use the damn IP. I get it. But so much could have been elaborated, and I guess they're doing that with 76 to an extent. But I enjoy the environment. I think the setting for Fallout 3 is good. I think some of the DLCs are very good, like the pit and
yeah, I like the pit a lot.
Dude, the pit is so good.
The pit was a model for Dead Money because one thing we realized was it's really hard to add a brand new open world space to the Mojave without breaking a lot of stuff.
Sure.
But the pit showed us another way of like, hey, for our first DLC, so that we don't have to worry about that open world problem, we can actually segment it out to a much more focused experience. Sure, like it feels more confined, but like budget wise, it's going to get done.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And we already had enough memory problems with New Vegas anyway, and that's a whole other story because we tried to head that off at the pass where I asked the programmers, look, we have 4 DLCs coming. So if we're having optimization issues in the core game, which we were, I need you to reserve memory and whatever engineering space you need for these 4 DLCs because they're coming. It's going to happen. Bethesda's signed up for them, and it didn't work out at all. It turned out that all those estimates were bullshit. We still ran across memory problems, even when we'd tried to look ahead and ask for them, and we spent most of a good chunk of the DLC time was just fixing all the optimization errors for the core game that had never gotten addressed, and that was pretty frustrating. It was like because I made all the DLC work like you felt like you were working with half the staff, and when even one of them is a programmer that you can't make full use of, that is a nightmare. So that was depressing in itself, but. Anyway, sorry, actually, to go back to Fallout 3 for a second, because you mentioned you like the environment in Fallout 3.
I think the setting, it's not as bad as people try to say it is these days, I think.
I actually thought there were some standout moments with the
Oasis. I wish they wouldn't have involved Harold because New Vegas would come later. Hindsight's 2020, because you could have put Harold in New Vegas,
But they added Arlington Cemetery, which for me was one of the best visual storytelling moments that sums up the theme of the whole franchise in just one glance. Mm-hmm. You're there, you see the grave stretching out ahead of you, all the war heroes there, and you're like, and now the world is the way, it hits you so
it's
hard.
Like all for nothing,
Yeah, and that was beautiful. I really liked that, and I thought what they did with the introduction with the vault, sure, you could call that a little goofy, but it was a great way to reintroduce you to the world after you've been away for so long. I really thought the one small community of Leave It to Beaver cannibals, I thought that was pretty creepy. When they all come out of their houses at you, I'm like,
hey, what you poking around for? Yeah, it was
oh
great.
My God, it was so disturbing. And there were some parts that really sang, and I'm like, wow, that's really beautiful. They really did a good job with that. But I really did feel the pain of their budget limitations because they couldn't have too many people in the town without the frame rate going down to nothing. So towns would be 4 or 5 people, and you're like, oh, I feel your pain right now because the engine was set up to be taxed that heavily. But yeah, I thought there were some parts in Fallout 3 that were actually really good.
Yeah, same. Actually, and to go to what you were saying about the DLCs and memory problems, hiccups along the way, do you think the creation engine is the problem there? Would there have been an engine or something? I'm very dumb to programming. I don't know about game development. I don't. But do you think if you weren't working on the creation engine, that New Vegas could have been better? Let's put it that way.
Okay, so there's a few aspects to that answer. So first off, This
I guess
isn't maybe
Gamebryo. They're different engines now. I
right.
mean, advanced, but
Well, so first off, I can understand there would be an inclination to blame Gamebryo, which I don't think is the world's most fantastic engine, but I can't argue with the fact that it lets you make an open world environment,
yeah,
and the script for it is, it's there. The tool set, mostly works, which is a far cry from a lot of other tool sets I've worked with. So in that respect, it's to be commended. Um, Now, I do agree that it has weaknesses, several, but it worked. Like it was able to make a game, which is I hate to say like that's the most fantastic thing in the world, but like it got it over the finish line. Even the car was was sputtering smoke and like gears were falling off. And then the reason I pause about that is because I could blame Gamebryo. I can go, hey, you know what? It's actually this engine that's creating these obstacles. But after speaking to some of the level designers who worked on Fallout 3 and I think Fallout 4, who were very familiar with the Gamebryo engine, they ran me through all the errors that we'd made in building the Mojave in New Vegas. And some of them I was aware of, like Vegas. Like Vegas was a nightmare, and that's a whole other topic.
yeah,
But they pointed out to me that like there were so many ways we could have saved space. We could have been more economical with our building, because they knew all the tricks. And like
yeah,
and even they said if they were available, they would have loved to have helped us out, but they were like busy with other stuff, so they couldn't. But like there was goodwill there where where they could have come in and go, here's a more efficient way for you to design the Mojave that's going to prevent problems down the road. And like the fact that we didn't have access to that or push for access to that, I think, was on us. So like we could have just built out those spaces better. And Vegas was a great example of where we completely dropped the ball in terms of optimization. Not once, not twice, but like 3 times. It was like had to be rebuilt, scaled down, rebuilt, scaled down. Oh, let's throw up some more billboards. Let's try and cloak this problem. Like, and all that stuff was already shown to us in examples of how Washington D.C. was built. Like there was a reason why Washington D.C. was built the way it was that we
by
completely ignored.
zone. Yeah,
Yeah, and,
yeah,
sure, it hurts the overall feel, but it works.
yeah,
Like versus like trying to push the limits and breaking several times. So like we wasted it. I don't want to say waste, but like we had a lot of failed attempts to make Vegas like run properly, and there were things we could have done even from just simple lessons of how World of Warcraft laid out areas that still looked beautiful, but they knew how to include geometry. They knew how to ration out the amount of like triangles you'd see at any one time. So like you weren't flooding the CPU with just, causing it to overheat. There was a whole bunch of tricks we could have used. We didn't even have a level designer who was even carrying that stuff forward until like I think halfway through. Like we promoted Charlie Staples to be lead level designer, and then things started coming together. But even that wasn't enough by that point because too much of the stuff had been built. So there was that. And then the very last anecdote that I'll mention is I was in a meeting with Bethesda where a few days before I'd done an interview about the Gamebryo engine, and like someone had asked me, "Hey, is New Vegas going to run 30 frames per second?" In my mind, it's inexcusable that a game would not run 30 frames per second. So I said, yes, it will. And to my surprise, I'm in this Bethesda meeting. This tech director starts lecturing me about you shouldn't have said that. And I'm sitting there taking it. And I'm like, and all I'm thinking back in my mind is like, why do you have a fucking engine that can't run 30 frames per second and then call that to your claim of fame and you're the director of technology? It was so offensive to me. I sat there and smiled and I took it. But overall, like that in itself was one fundamental flaw of the technology there. And I've known programmers that worked at Bethesda. They say the engine has all sorts of messes like under the hood. But that 30 frames per second thing, like it's like that's on Bethesda. And
yeah.
I'm like, wow, I shouldn't be being lectured about that. You are the ones who should be being lectured about it.
Yeah, they created the engine and they
Exactly.
continue to use it. Have you? This is a stupid fucking question I'm about to ask you. Have you played Starfield?
No, 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 no.
Okay, yeah, I didn't think you did.
I had no interest just because I didn't hear any. Okay, so here's my exclamation mark that pops up when a game comes out. If no one talks about the story, if no one talks about the companions or figures you meet and says, "Oh wow, it was really great meeting that character," or "Wow, that ending was so cool," if I hear nothing like that, I tend to avoid that game because
That's
I'm
fair.
like, I need a story experience. Otherwise,
Yeah.
it's just not it's not worth my time.
I have an unpopular opinion, which is that
Oh, all right.
I enjoyed the story. I enjoyed the journey. I enjoyed the open world. I think the world is too big for its britches. I think Todd could have maybe rallied for 10 planets instead of 1,000, and it probably would have been a better experience for people. Less procedural generation, more handcrafted worlds, and now the other day they released more POIs. They have all kinds of updates going on with
Oh,
this.
is this the PS5 version?
Yeah, well, apparently as usual, you know about this as well. The PS5 is not playing nice with the creation engine again. Big surprise,
I
because
am
people
very
are like,
familiar with that.
"Yeah, I know you are." Because
Oh, we almost got. Oh my God! After this, we almost got sued over that too. Like,
oh,
but go on
really?
with your
Okay,
story.
yeah, we're
Oh
gonna
yeah,
have to talk
totally.
about that. Yeah, because I've had people be like, "Yeah, I've only played New Vegas on the PS3," and I'm like, "Oh my God, are you okay?" Like, that was a terrible
Oh,
version.
true
Like,
stories. Yep.
holy shit. So yeah, apparently the PS5 version, not a surprise, is having some issues with Starfield. But I play it on. I have a 4090, an RTX 4090, which isn't the top of the line anymore, but it's pretty close to it. So I just played on PC. I don't have any of those crashing problems. It's the most stable creation engine game that I've ever played in my entire life. And
Okay.
that's why I brought it up. Is I got it. They sent me it 2 weeks. I had already bought 2 versions of it because I was like, well, because I make videos about these games.
Sure,
So I'm
sure,
like, oh,
sure.
new Bethesda game's coming out. I'm going to get it on Xbox so I can play it on there. I'm going to get it on my PC so I can record the videos. But then they sent it to me 2 weeks early, a code for it. And I was like, oh, fuck. Okay. So I fired it up. I had one hard crash that I could
You
make
lucky bastard. That's awesome.
No, it was kind of fun. No, but they one hard crash that I could replicate. There was a ship that was landing off in the distance, and I would run up to it, and jump into the starship, and I'd try to steal it, and then the game would crash. But that was the only thing that was making my game crash, and I was like, "Wow, this is this is 2 weeks before release on a creation engine game." Yeah, and it's like it's not crashing, it's not freezing up, it's not like it's
That's
running
way
really
better
smooth.
than Cyberpunk.
Yeah, Cyberpunk was rough,
Still
and
crashed.
and everybody nowadays praises it because they went back and they fixed it. And again, I think that's kind of part of the problem with the gaming industry these days is, well, we'll put out what we have and then we'll fix it later. And I don't. But again, I feel like time crunches. There's things that I don't know about going on behind the scenes. Time crunches. We have to get this out because of the publisher. We have to get this out because of the powers that be need this out by this quarter. They need it, And I think a lot of people don't think about that stuff. But at the same time, I think it's kind of a cop-out these days where you pretty much release an early access game and then not everybody's Sean Murray, let's put it this way. No Man's Sky was an absolute testament to somebody's willpower to make what they were saying a reality. You know what I mean? Like that team at Hello Games, they sat down and they said, damn it. Like I saw the video of Sean writing on every single criticism that he was getting about the game, just writing in a whiteboard. He's like, yeah, we're not gonna stop until we are crossing these off. And he's released a free update like every few months. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like that guy's like, no, this is my game and I'm gonna make sure. But not everybody should have that mentality, I feel. You know what I mean? And it's like,
yeah, TK, that mentality is really rare. I mean, aside from No Man's Sky, really
and Cyberpunk to an extent. I got to give credit where it's due.
I mean, yeah, but even so, they still haven't ironed out all this stuff yet. But the only other time I've seen a developer willing to sacrifice to make sure that a game like is free of all that stuff was old BioWare under Ray and Greg. They would not release a game until they were completely satisfied with high quality. Also, Sven at Larian, Sven is an unstoppable machine. Like if a game comes out, it is incredibly important to him that like it's at high quality no matter what sacrifice it takes. Like he will have like engines rewritten to make sure that the quality is there. And
well,
that's
it shows too.
Yeah.
look at
Oh,
their games.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
that quality reputation builds with every game that you're doing, and that's why like older BioWare was like that's why their titles were like people were looking forward to them because they were always polished, quality. Like Ray and Greg would not cop out. Like they're like we're going to deliver a quality experience with every title, and because they did that, every game they released, people knew they could trust it. They knew it was going to be a quality release. And that's what a studio should shoot for. And I got to tell you, like, it was really frustrating, like, first back at Black Isle and then at Obsidian, because that culture wasn't there. It was
Yeah.
very much get it out. Like, just get it out. We'll figure out, like, how to fix it later. Or even worse. Oh, here's the one that drives me fucking crazy. It was, we'll do better next time.
Oh, fuck.
No! Next time will be just like this in a different way.
Next time might not happen, too, because
Oh my God,
look
yeah.
at what happened to Interplay, like, yeah, I mean, that was my little.
And not to mention the insults that you're doing to the player when they've, you may be an executive at a company, you think, oh well, we're going to do better next time, but like a player that like is spending $60 for whatever happens to be like of their money to get entertained, and like they're getting all these crashes and a shitty experience, and like it's an insult, like, and it's rough to have that mentality and think somehow that it's okay, and it's not. Yeah, so I mean there's been frustrating studios like that where it's like, and I'm so glad I'm done with that, because like that's completely incompatible. Like it shows no empathy for the audience whatsoever. Anyway, so okay. Anyway, on the PlayStation aspect,
Go ahead. Yeah,
two things. So we almost got sued because Josh did an interview with Eurogamer, and it might still be up, where the interviewer asks Josh about the PS3 version, and I'm paraphrasing here because the actual wording isn't important. Josh concedes that the PS version of Fallout New Vegas is probably not up to snuff. But the worst part about the interview was then in the recording, which there wasn't a recording in the article, but the writer transcribed Josh laughing after he said it. And he goes, and then Sawyer laughed. And I could almost hear like the swords being drawn over in Bethesda land where they're like, and now it's time for the lawsuits. Because like they were fucking pissed. They're like, how dare you imply that the PS3, like how dare you publicly say that the PS3 version is inferior when everybody knows it. Like it wasn't a big secret. And like Josh is a very honest guy. So like why, I mean, of course he's going to say that when he's asked a question, and like maybe you should own up to the weaknesses in your engine versus like trying to brush it under the rug and pretend everything's fine. And then like my wife didn't play New Vegas when it came out, but we played the PS3 version many years later, and she's treated to this wasteland of nothing but those orange cones. Which are showing all the assets that can't be loaded, and I'm like, wow. Even like after all of the patches, like it's still just a fucking mess, and I'm like, this is so fucking embarrassing. It's the PlayStation road. So I'm glad the PS5 version of Starfield is in much better shape.
Well, it isn't. They're putting out hot fixes soon. The PS5 version of Starfield crashes. Like what I saw on Twitter is people were an hour in, they already had 6 crashes to desktop. Just the normal stuff from that. But if it makes you feel any better about the New Vegas PlayStation version, if you play it on Series X with the little bells and whistles that they've added up, I've gone through 2 full playthroughs, got 1 crash on each one.
Oh yeah, the Xbox version
solid.
Was much better. Yeah,
solid. Same for Fallout 3 too. It's just, now obviously it's not as smooth and fancy as playing it on the PC here, but like you get the game. It doesn't mess with you. You're running. You can boost it to 60 frames now with the Series X, so that's good. It has a little bit of an HD upscale that you can do. It's nice.
Cool.
Yeah, it's a nice little and not that weird new DLSS 5 thing that they got going on. It's just a normal upscale. Actually, shit, I lost my train of thought. But it doesn't I was just talking shit. But it plays really well on Series X. So for as bad as it plays on PlayStation, it plays as good on the Xbox. So
Well, during the PlayStation 3 days, we we almost never had problems doing the PC version. And because the Xbox is basically a scaled down PC that shared a lot of the, same code frameworks, like the Xbox version usually wouldn't be super problematic, but the PlayStation, to be fair to Bethesda, was always kind of a beast to do a port for. And that was usually the port that would always slow us down.
yeah. And I think that's why they were kind of excited when Starfield was an Xbox exclusive. And then now, it's not. Did you see that guy found a dev kit for New Vegas on that 360? Yeah. How do you feel about that? Is that cool to you, or?
Great. You know what? I was super happy when people found all the cut content for KOTOR 2, even though all our producers were super fucking pissed at me. I didn't care. I'm like, good. You got to see what the game could have been.
Yeah, well, and when you see mods these days too, I don't know if it's a kick in the teeth or if it makes you feel good. Like when somebody's like, well, and here's the open free side and open New Vegas mods. Look at them running in all their glory.
Oh my God. Well, no, I'm very happy about that.
Yeah,
Actually, there's been times, even specifically related to New Vegas DLCs, where the mod community showed us a better way to go.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we realized how bad our home base was in New Vegas until we saw the mods on the Nexus. And we're like, holy crap, these home bases are fucking fantastic. Like, you have mannequins, like you can put armor sets on, like you display them in your rooms, and like you can have like a whole like library shelves with every single ammo canister of every different type, so you can organize everything. And I'm like, wow, that's pretty good. So like, so we cataloged all that. We're like, we really need to make a better home base for Old World Blues based on this. And also we'll add characters to them too. So it makes the living environment feel like you're talking with personalities rather than machines. And so like it all worked out pretty well overall. But like that was an example where the mod community showed us how to be better.
Yeah. Well, and that's another thing that Bethesda has going for them is they have a diehard mod community, probably one of the biggest out there. But you were speaking before about reputation. I think this is where I lost my train of thought. You were talking about Larian's reputation and how people want, they're waiting for their games because they see. I think another studio that's like that is Rockstar, even though they have.
Oh yeah, sure, yeah.
Like with GTA 6, no one is sitting here saying, "Well, that's going to be bad." Like,
oh yeah, exactly.
0 people think it's going to be bad, and everybody's going to buy it. And like with Red Dead Redemption 2, I think Red Dead Redemption 2 is probably the best video game I've ever played. Like, now, someone would, again, I think that's subjective, but when you combine the story of Red Dead Redemption and the story of Red Dead Redemption 2 into one cohesive narrative, it's one of my favorite stories I've ever experienced in the medium. Pete Hines was talking about how, try that in Red Dead Redemption 2 when he was referring to, I don't know, he was coming out swinging the other day. But what I'm getting at is there used to be that reputation for Bethesda, and when Oblivion came out, I don't think anybody was like, man, this is going to be terrible. People were very big fans of Morrowind. Oblivion came out, they loved Oblivion. I think Skyrim, I remember there being, and maybe you can weigh on this too, do you think fast travel, because I remember when Oblivion came out, people are like, fast travel is, candy-assing the open world experience. Do you feel that way as somebody who worked on these types of open world games, like with stuff like that?
Candy ass is a weird way to put it.
That was my own vernacular. So.
No, I get it. I think that people don't understand that having some degree of challenges over shortcuts like that sometimes makes the game more entertaining and you feel better playing it. Like, as an example, like there's a lot of RPGs where if you played them without quest objectives and you actually paid attention to directions, you actually feel clever for figuring everything out because it hasn't been handed to you. So sometimes those quality of life improvements, I think, hurt the enjoyment in a way that some modern players may not realize until they have a chance to sort of like experience the other side of the coin. But the problem is they most likely won't, because as soon as that quality of life improvement has been instituted, all other games feel the necessity to match that because they don't want to frustrate the player's gameplay experience.
Yeah.
And so it just feels like everything's being handed to you. Like,
Yeah.
you
Well,
don't
once you
have
get to
direct-
Skyrim, I feel like it, like when we're talking about Oblivion and Skyrim, I feel like that's absolutely what happens once you get to Skyrim. And I enjoyed Skyrim. I think the world is great. I think there's a lot of good quests. I think there's a lot of good characters, there's good stories. Sure. But I do think that, like what you just said, it continues down a slope of, well, you know, now let's make this challenge like a little less challenging for this. And then I think people get into the idea of casual, you know, like enjoyment. I've heard with Skyrim, and I don't really necessarily super agree with it when it comes to Skyrim, but the wide as an ocean, deep as a puddle argument with Skyrim, I could see where people are coming from with that. So I guess I get the analogy a bit, but it's, I don't think it makes it a bad game.
No,
if that makes any sense. Yeah.
It can still be a fun experience. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot of there's a lot of shortcut mechanics, for example, in Witcher 3, but like that didn't make me dislike the game in the slightest. Like I fucking loved it. So I mean, I think there's a balance to be found there. It's just I think players may not realize how much other enjoyment they're missing with those quality of life improvements, supposedly, and I think that's sometimes a shame. But hey, if hardcore modes get better, they can see the other side of the coin and go, oh wow, actually there are some elements that are more fun by introducing these levels of difficulty versus just having it all handed to me. So,
did you ever play that Mad Max game that came out at the same day Phantom Pain did?
Nope.
I'm making a video about it. It is I wouldn't call it necessarily a hidden gem these days, because the way the internet works, there's niches of people that find everything, and you know, there's always a group of people that like something. But it truly is like it's probably one of the best licensed games, like, you know, for a franchise like that I've ever played in my life. Cool. Yeah, and it got overshadowed because Kojima dropped Metal Gear Solid 5 on the same day, so nobody was paying attention to it. But I think it also came out the same year as Fallout 4, so it was just like, didn't stand a chance. But
well, I mean, I felt bad for the Guerrilla Games guys when the Horizon sequel came out, because you know, trying to be anywhere close to Elden Ring is just a nightmare experience.
And anybody releasing towards November of this year is just like, I've heard people just like, no, we'll just release in 27, like not even gonna try with GTA 6 coming. I suppose since we're getting along a little long in the tooth, would you mind the questions that the fans submitted here?
Shoot.
We can go through some of these.
These are the audience questions, right?
Yeah.
Be my pleasure. Be my pleasure.
Okay, so and I'll inform people what's going on. So before a couple of days before we did this little video here, I asked a couple of my social media accounts. I went to my followers and said, "Hey, if you have any questions for Mr. Avellone here, let me hear them." And so I picked out 3 pages of them. So I'm just going to go down the list, and I think they're good talking points anyway. So the first one is, how would you have continued the Fallout series?
Well, a lot of that was in the Van Buren designs. And what I mean specifically by that is, first off, I wanted to widen the Fallout world systemically. And what I mean by that is, I wanted you to be able to play as a super mutant. Like, I wanted you to be able to play as a ghoul. I wanted to try and evolve the way you could create your character archetypes. Like, so instead of just having combat, stealth, speech, We wanted to try and add a science boy to the next stage of Fallout, because reading a lot of post-apocalyptic fiction and then watching a lot of the TV and movie post-apocalyptic settings, there did seem to be a role for like being the smartest guy in the room and figuring out how old chemistry, worked and interacted. No, I can now create mustard gas, like stuff like that. Seemed like that would be an option for a new archetype to explore. But beyond that, other system mechanics we wanted to develop more was faction mechanics. Because one thing that's always kind of bothered me about factions, even in New Vegas, was that technically their leadership and their goals are never really going to change. Like, you can advance in their organization, you can get reputation with them, but like for Fallout 5 Plus or whatever, or Van Buren or whatever it happened to be, it was much more exciting to me of a concept of being able to take over a faction. And like suddenly that entire army is working for you under your directive. So like you become Caesar.
Yeah.
And like suddenly you can change the shape of the whole organization, or you can become the leader of the Daughters of Hecate, and now you can control that entire like espionage faction throughout the entire Fallout world and make things happen by remote, by sending people. Like, that just felt really cool to me. But I, in terms of the actual lore and the story, I also wanted to make sure that in Van Buren you went back to some of the roots of the pre-war world by having the pre-war world come to you. And so like I know Fallout 4 had those cryo machines. That was part of Van Buren, where underneath the Boulder Dome, those citizens start waking up again.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not really great people, but they have that pre-war mindset, and you're able to actually interact with people that have that pre-war point of view, and you get to a glimpse into what the world was like for these people, and then before all the nuclear warheads dropped. And then I also thought it'd be kind of cool if, rather than fighting, the big evil wizard in the castle, it'd be much cooler to square off against a NPC character party. So like you're sort of fighting like the Legion of Doom, but like they're not really evil. They just have a different way of going about accomplishing their agenda, which actually may not be different than yours in the end, but the way they do it is different. So as you're going through the wasteland, you might go into one community, those guys, and scripting wise, would go into another community, cause a change,
Mm.
and then you're sort of like playing chess throughout the
I like
wasteland
that.
and trying to outmaneuver each other. And part of that was the inspiration for the rival party in Wasteland 3, but even though the mechanics didn't quite work like that, Brian Fargo contacted me before Wasteland 3, and he goes, "I want to know every idea you have for Van Buren, every single one. And I want you to write it out, give it to me, and I'm going to see if I can put it in Wasteland 3." And the rival character party was one of them. I thought it'd be really cool to meet Zax from Fallout 1 again. And he was suffering at the bottom of the Boulder Dome because his processors were starting to die. So basically, he's having computer Alzheimer's, but with your assistance, you can get parts, you can start trying to help restore him. So hopefully he can calculate a way to save the world before all the really bad shit comes down. And like that felt like a really strong way of bringing Fallout 1 source material back into the modern day and sort of like ground the two together. And I felt really strongly about that, because even though Zax's computer, like I liked his personality. I liked the presentation. I thought there was so much more that could have been done with that. But it was more of a union of a lot of the old roots being represented more in a modern Fallout game, and sort of bringing those two things together. But yeah, but those were some of the directions that I wanted to see. It was going to definitely be on the West Coast, because I still thought there were more stories to be told there. And I thought there were also a lot of new perspectives we could bring to certain Fallout communities that would be really interesting to explore before like we advance civilization too much further. I don't have an issue with advancing civilization. I just still thought there were still more stories that could be told in interesting ways in the current, like, wasteland apocalypse era. So that was really important to me. So yeah, that was some of the stuff we wanted to explore for Van Buren.
What a fantastic answer, actually. That was a lot of good ideas being thrown out there. You had said something in the middle there about becoming Caesar, and it triggered in my head something that'll trigger you. Did you see the play out of what happened to Caesar in the show?
Yeah, just barely, and then I think that was probably the point where I broke.
Okay, yeah, the two warring legions.
Yeah, I think seeing his corpse, or them discussing the corpse that lay between the two very close together camps for a long period of time was probably the breaking plausibility point where I'm just like, wherever this series is going, I don't care anymore.
Okay, so that means that you probably didn't make it to what the note said in his.
No, I don't.
Okay, so Macaulay Culkin's character walks up. They all start fighting. Cooper the Ghoul starts a big thing there because they.
Shocker.
Yeah. So as they're all fighting because of that, Macaulay Culkin goes over to Caesar's corpse, and he pulls out the note that everybody's been. Caesar has this note that's supposed to tell everybody this is what happens when I die, but they've been fighting over it, so nobody knows. And he picks up. He opens the note and it says, "I am Caesar. The Legion dies with me." And so Macaulay Culkin eats the note and becomes Caesar and leads the Legion to New Vegas. Why is he going to New Vegas? Because he heard that there's a palace there. A Caesar's palace, if you will.
Okay.
I just wanted you to feel a little bit of pain during this, I guess. You had to know that happened. And then the NCR show back up. Suddenly their army's not as diminished as we thought it was. They show back up into the strip, and here comes the NCR army, and the Legion's marching on to New Vegas, so they're gonna fight for New Vegas. And Max and Lucy are standing where House is, and House flickers onto the screen for a minute, and then it okay. Nobody won the Battle of Hoover Dam, by the way. Apparently, every faction thinks they won the Battle of Hoover Dam.
Okay.
Yeah. So now they're gonna duke it out in New Vegas again.
Interesting.
For what? Cold Fusion.
I mean, that was oh my God! Don't get me started on that.
That MacGuffin. I thought the Gek was a big enough MacGuffin for Fallout.
Like, oh my God! Absolutely.
Like that's enough. That's enough. And then we have Cold Fusion. Don't get me started. See, and I like the show. See, this is coming from somebody who actually enjoys the show. And I remember one time I was watching it, and my wife was watching it with me, and something happened. I don't even remember what happened, but I threw my fucking arms in the air and I said, "That's not what happened." So I felt the same kind of pain. So to move on from that, but I did want you to know that the third battle of New Vegas is coming between the NCR and.
No, I can't wait. Oh, yes, I can.
Okay, so on the next question, and actually this ties it. I'm gonna kind of double question it up here. So it talks about mods. One of the first things I want to ask you about before we get into this specific mod is: have you seen the mod being made for that GZ Doom engine of Fallout 2 or Fallout? It's called Fallout Bakersfield, and it takes place in Necropolis.
I think I've heard of it, but I'm unfortunately my knowledge of the specific mods for Fallout, I confess, like, I don't know a lot about them. Okay. My big thrust is like I totally support those mods being
for
made
sure.
For, as I said earlier, I'm like, thank God someone's doing some really cool stuff with that. It's just the knowledge of each specific one I don't usually have.
Okay, it's not out or anything like that. There's a trailer and a little bit of gameplay footage, but what essentially is, do you know what the GZ Doom engine is? So it's like seems like, again, I'm not a game developer or a programmer, but it seems like a smoother version of Doom's engine that supports a little bit better models, a little bit better environments, you know what I mean? And what they did was they took the sprites from the first two Fallout games, they put them into this and made it look better.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Yeah, so it's like a first-person classic Fallout experience. It's very interesting, and so again, I'll be showing
that. Sounds pretty cool.
No, it's really cool. So Fallout Bakersfield.
Okay.
There was another one, but anyway, people, this is where it ties in. So there's a mod called Fallout London. It was very big. Okay, so you are familiar with that one.
Yes.
They want to know what you think about Fallout London, but on top of that, what I want to add is, well, how do you feel? Because I didn't think Fallout should be outside the United States narrative-wise until this mod came along and they proved me wrong. Because they took,
Oh, okay. So they sold you on it.
oh, they sold me on a big time because
All
they
right,
took,
perfect. That's a great sign.
yeah, no, it's, ooh. So they took Fallout 4 and made it interesting, first off. Secondly, they, all that Americana, all that Americana that you get from the Fallout series, instead of that, you have this like old up, like almost ancient style of British culture that's shining through
Okay.
instead of the Americana. Like instead of duck and cover, it's like this old British version of that, and there's different tones that you wouldn't normally hear in America, and there's like this mysterious British guy watching you in the vault with a, you know, like a G-Man style from Half-Life, kind of like that, and it's all very. They did a very good job on making it their own and actually giving it a flavor that would make sense in the world, but still not be, you know, still be foreign to the United States. So anyways, they want to know, how do you feel about Fallout London? But how do you feel about Fallout outside the United States in general?
Well, first off, is Fallout London? I feel embarrassed that I don't want to. I'm assuming that you know every member of the development team, but like, is it largely a UK group of developers?
I believe so.
Okay, yeah, because sometimes I get a similar question about, hey, you know, have you given any thought to, Fallout outside the world, specifically Russia? I mean, I get the Russia question a lot,
I just look
and
at Metro as the candidate for
yeah, I mean,
yeah.
that's a good example. But the answer I usually give is, so there's a reason why Fallout 1 and 2 took place on the West Coast. There's a reason why Fallout 3 took place on the East Coast, where Bethesda is. And I think before I gave any serious thought to how Fallout would exist anywhere else in the world, I wouldn't do it without talking to people from that area,
Yeah.
because they're the ones that actually know all the really good hooks that would work really well for Fallout, because obviously they've lived through that area. They know the
Yeah.
history, they know the cultural in and outs when an American would be faking it.
Yeah.
So, which would
I
feel
agree completely.
sincere. And so, like, my answer to them is, I would prefer that if that opportunity came about, it would always be done by native developers from that country, because that's where I think all the strengths would really shine through.
Okay, now there's been some theories that the United States is the only one that's fucked in this universe. Do you think there's a possibility that like China wasn't even touched by the bombs,
So
or is it all fucked?
I think it would be inconsistent if
Okay.
there wasn't damage all over the world, except maybe possibly Australia, but Australia has so many climate problems anyway.
Yeah. Again,
But, I mean,
that Mad Max game does a very good job of showing a
yeah.
post-apocalyptic Australia. It's very good.
Also, there's that book On the Beach, which I mean,
Mm-hmm.
basically Australia is basically like the last area that's not going to have all the radioactive clouds come in, but it's still coming for them anyway. So, like, I think that would be an interesting thing to explore. Anyway, um, so my opinion is that much of the rest of the world would have been hit just as hard as the U.S. or suffered different awful things as a
Yeah,
result
yeah,
of
because of how much
because just
exchange.
because of the franchise. And I think, and also, like, I guess this is kind of an institute thing where it's like the more that there's parts of the world that are supremely untouched, the technology is like almost exactly like it was in the pre-wars, I think actually diminishes some of the enjoyment, not elevates it. And I think the institute's a prime example of where that contrast, I think, can hurt the feel of the world versus helping it. So I
I
guess, so
agree.
that's my opinion.
Yeah,
I don't have a factual canon answer, but that's how I would approach it.
yeah. That's the all I can ask from you is how you would approach these things. But yeah, the guys from Fallout London, Bethesda actually hired a few of them. Uh,
Good.
yeah, no,
Uh,
because they were good at what they were doing. They did a very good job. When I
oh,
say
actually, TK, that's one of the another great thing about the mod community is, and so Obsidian was good about this too, is we would
yeah,
find
you
modders.
brought in a modder from Oblivion, didn't
Yeah,
you? Yeah,
Jorge
yeah,
Oscuro,
yeah.
and he taught us things about how the engine worked because he'd worked with it for so long. And then, like, even for Neverwinter Nights 2, we found a programmer who'd done his own mod where he'd completely rewritten the AI for Neverwinter Nights, and it was fantastic. So we just hired him.
Yeah, yeah,
You
no,
know,
it's
so
the way to go.
the mod community is a great way to create a resume.
Okay, so we talked a little bit about this at the beginning, but you might have a different answer than because we talked about New Orleans. It says, "Where do you wish you could have set a Fallout game, but were never able to?"
Um, Actually, the answer is still pretty much Van Buren. So it's not necessarily a location. Like, oh, I really should have been in Vegas. It should have been Reno. Like, for me, it's more about the story that location tells. And I'll give an example. So in Van Buren, there was one location I was really excited about because it was where they were doing the field testing for the Garden of Eden creation kits. And that's not a specific town or like location in the United States. It's something that we created that directly tied into the lore. So for me, being able to create locations like that that both move the franchise forward, but yet reflected the background of how things came to be. And then plus we could experiment with all sorts of crazy, vegetation, like, for different like gecks that got out of control, the possibility of rescuing some of that geck technology to save other communities. That's the kind of stuff that's exciting to me versus, hey, here's a specific location that I want to go to. But again, New Orleans is really high up there because of that Grendel story. So there's that.
New Orleans would be so great.
Yeah.
And for some reason, something when you were explaining that made my mind think about Arroyo from Fallout 2. Did you, would you want to ever revisit locations like that to see a post-Gek Arroyo?
Sure.
I mean, I
Uh,
guess Shady Sands isn't with us anymore, so maybe
Well,
we
yeah,
did.
but I mean, that approach is also very, very true to the Fallout franchise because I mean, obviously there was an evolution of the communities from Fallout 1 to Fallout 2, like where you see how Shady Sands becomes NCR. So being able to go back to locations and see that change. I think is important, and I get a lot of heat for saying, okay, well, when you dropped all those nukes, you were eradicating everything, but that wasn't the reason. The reason was just to create some stability. Ultimately, it was you could still go back to those locations and see reactivity from that. And reactivity is more important to me, especially when people are familiar with the location. So they have the thrill of like, oh wow, like we're going back to Arroyo. But then like you show them how it's changed, and then like the nostalgia factor kicks in, but then you get to dump like the brand new stuff that occurred in the location. I think it just really excites players, and it excites me as a developer too.
Excites me hearing about it. And when you're talking about dropping those nukes, are you referring to like the Long 15
Oh yeah, yeah,
and dry wells?
yeah.
So do you get heat for that action specifically, like having that being an
Yeah,
option?
the interpretation of it. I feel really weird sometimes having to defend it online because I think people don't think I care about reactivity, or they think that I just want to completely wipe away things. That's not the point. The point is more I want the player's action to keep persisting in important ways, and firing off nuclear warheads and causing some change in the environment. That was always going to be a big part of Van Buren just from Fallout 2, because like the destruction of the oil rig at the end of Fallout 2, that's a big thing in Van Buren because the Enclave. Sorry, so the way it was set up, the Enclave has their oil rig destroyed. They're not quite sure who did it. So the Enclave strikes back in Van Buren and hits NCR because they think NCR is responsible. NCR has no fucking idea what the Enclave is. So the NCR thinks the Brotherhood did it. And then suddenly
Oh,
that
that's
horrible,
amazing.
oh yeah, and then suddenly the Civil
So
War breaks out.
were they gonna nuke Shady Sands?
No, because like not only the Enclave really had access to like the really good shit.
Yeah, so that's what I meant. Though when the Enclave like retaliated and attacked the NCR, were they going to attack Shady Sands or just
They were going to attack. They not necessarily Shady Sands itself. They were
but
going to hit certain areas within their
okay.
missile range to blow up those communities. And then NCR couldn't imagine who else other than the Brotherhood would be able to do this.
Yeah.
So that sets off a horrible chain of events where these two people that actually weren't necessarily at odds with each other suddenly go to war because of some outside third presence interfering, and it's all actually because of you. So like
Yeah,
that's
yeah, yeah.
that stuff is important to me.
What's interesting about what you're saying to me actually is the fact that the Enclave would not have been gone by.
Oh yeah, there'd be other there were
Yeah,
other there
well,
were
because I
to
realize that
me
we
there,
see. Go ahead. Sorry.
no to me there were always other enclave locations.
Yeah, yeah, because we have the remnants in New Vegas,
Mhm.
and then it
This is
seems
one
like,
cool idea.
oh yes, I loved it. I actually really liked Sawyer's original idea. I think it was Sawyer's, who he wanted it to kind of be like in Assassin's Creed when you wear that auditory cape and everybody hates you. Like if you put on the APA, everybody immediately is like, "Fuck that guy!" Like we know what you did. But apparently, I forget exactly why that wasn't
Yeah, it was kind of a
implemented.
little different in the studio, and it was kind of disturbing in the studio because it felt more like a redemption arc for Nazis, and like that
Yeah,
that
yeah.
that didn't quite sit super well with me. But I understood the theme behind it, and I guess redemption like is an important factor. It's just within that context, it was kind of bothering me. In the end result, I like the implementation, the idea, because it was Josh and another designer superhero at Obsidian called Jeff Huskus, who never gets enough credit for anything. But the way Josh does implementation for designs is he'll have the high level thought, but he'll have Jeff or someone else be able to execute on it, and then he gives direction for that. And I think that pairing works really well. And thank God, because it frees Josh up to actually be director
Yeah,
versus being too focused on one particular quest line, because the director needs to see everything at a high level.
yeah. Well, I like the remnants either way, but it's interesting
Yep.
because I know that people have criticized Bethesda for keeping the Enclave around. It was like, oh, they've been destroyed this many times. You know, how many times do they get destroyed? But to know that originally they were going to kind of outlast is very interesting. Um, Somebody wanted to know why did they choose the Arizona/Nevada setting for New Vegas? Well, obviously Vegas is there, but like why was that the location that you settled on?
But technically, we weren't 100% sure that Vegas was there from Fallout 2. Like the closest we had was Reno, so like that was still an open question. And actually, there was evidence to suggest that like Vegas had also been bombed. Anyway, part of the answer is because of Fallout 3's structure.
Okay.
So the way Fallout 3 worked is they sold you on Washington D.C. Like you're
Yeah.
going to go to Washington D.C. You're going to explore like the East Coast. Oh my God, that's really cool. So when doing the follow up to Fallout 3, we're like, okay, well we have to mirror some of that, like we to keep that theme going. So okay, so if we're on the West Coast, because I believe Bethesda said no East Coast stuff. I don't think we would have. I don't think we would have gone East Coast even if we wanted to, though. And so like, okay, what's a good look? What's a good fun location on the West Coast? Vegas was the easy sell. Like
Yeah.
everyone, like yeah, Vegas 100%. Like there's a lot of flavor there. Like there's all sorts of themes we can explore. Like it's a town of fun, town of adventure. Like that's our center city. So once that was decided, that kind of made the choice for us. For like, hey, it's going to be that location, and yet still technically it was a new location that hadn't exactly been explored in Fallout 2 and in depth. So that was pretty much the reason.
Somebody online found the map square where Vegas should be in Fallout 2, and there is a city square there. So people are like, "Hey, New Vegas was in Fallout 2,"
Oh,
but
well,
obviously it's not an actual location.
yeah,
It's a blank city map. But
yep.
I guess they did the what is that, cartography? I don't know whatever the map name is for that. They went through and they like layered it, and they're like, oh, this is where it would be. I remember when I was a kid, when I would go to New Reno, I would always think, I was like, I wonder if there's a New Vegas, and then here we are.
Yeah. So, but TK, to explain that a little bit more, like it's kind of a similar situation to the Boneyard
Mhm.
in Fallout 1, where like, oh wow, it may seem like LA exists, but like when you go there, it's actually like two or three shitty maps.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're like, it's not really the promise of adventure to go to a place like that. So like that was more the question.
That's fair. And real quick, back onto the Enclave. Would we have seen? Because we see Frank Horrigan die in probably the most like
Oh my
spectacular way. You didn't like Horrigan?
Oh, I fucking hated him.
Oh, really? Okay, tell me.
Oh yeah,
Why don't you
actually,
like Horrigan?
first off, I think the designer hated Horrigan. So first off, that was a problem because when you're asked to make a character that you hate, the poison begins to fill that character's whole approach. The other problem with Horrigan was that his presentation at points was, I'm gonna be blunt, was just fucking stupid.
Okay.
Like he killed, like you have those encounters, he guns down those civilians, which for a very questionable reason, and then he turns to his companion and goes, you know, who is it lunchtime already or some dumb shit like that? Like it was the Fergus special, and I'm like, fuck this! Like this guy's a clown, and like he's just designed to be like a big menacing boss that you fight, and he didn't really have any super depth. And as a final adversary, like it was just sad for me.
Damn. Actually,
Hated him.
What's funny is one of the things I mentioned that I credit Bethesda for is they're super against, and this makes sense, children getting killed in their games.
Mm-hmm. So
now, yes. Oh, really? Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think it changed for me once the school shootings escalated to the point.
That's fair. That's fair.
I'm like, this is not even a subject that it's not.
I remember Columbine. And a lot of things changed after Columbine for sure. And then now look at the landscape of it today. Like how horrifying Columbine was versus how normalized it's become is insanity.
Yeah. And that's two horrible ends of the spectrum. Now it's normalized.
Yeah.
And initially it was a horrible shock, and now people are almost numb to it. It's just horrifying.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it shut down everything. Everybody was just staring at their TVs during Columbine. It was the most horrific thing we had seen. Like, it was like, what do you mean that's happening? Anyways, regardless of that, I think a credit to Bethesda on that subject. Bethesda is very anti that in their games, which is fine. I don't have a problem, especially with the way their games are these first-person giant open-world games that would be very graphic and weird to do. In the classic Fallout games, you have the benefit of it being small little sprites. I think you know what I mean. It's still the same. It's still like, but I think it's less offensive when it looks. Regardless, doesn't matter.
No, when you have some visual distance,
yeah, exactly.
But when it becomes increasingly more real, it gets increasingly horrific.
Yeah, exactly. So I understand why Bethesda doesn't have that in their games, but when it comes, because in the re-releases that they did with the first Fallout and the second Fallout, they took child killing out of the games. In the first Fallout, there's no children NPCs at all in that version of the game on Steam now, like 0. And then in Fallout 2, if you do kill them, they just freeze. Like there's no gib animation, there's nothing like that. But what they did leave in was Horrigan gunning down that family. And the reason I always respected them for that is because I think the narrative that's trying to get told there is that Horrigan is a piece of shit and that he's willing to kill children and their families for basically nothing. But when listening to you talk about him, you were the first person I've ever heard say that they hate Frank Horrigan. That's so funny. Oh man, that is hilarious.
He's a terrible character.
You know what's funny is I can completely see what you're saying too. I completely get it.
Yeah. So I have a few other things to say about the child situation.
Yeah.
So I've departed studios when they've decided to make child abuse entertainment value because it's just sickening. No studio should ever approach it. To even use subject matter like that for entertainment is just horrific and gross. However, there are some things I need to say about Bethesda's approach to how children are represented in the game. So I respect the do not hurt children within games, but it's also offensive to the players when you make a certain category of character invulnerable, but then you also make those characters annoying as shit. So when I'm in Lamplight, or whatever it was, it's fucking annoying. Like you're just like, oh my god, these fucking kids are fucking driving me crazy. Just like normal kids. Anyway, my point is like, but you can't thrust that decision on the player and then show them they can't do anything, or make a conscious design decision like, hey, we're going to make these characters annoying and you can't do anything about it. That's the wrong way to deal with it. And then another thing I will say is I did appreciate in Fallout 2 the dilemma, and I think Tim Kaine is the one who designed this, was the child pickpockets in the den.
Yeah.
I thought were a great moral dilemma because there was child killing, because obviously they're stealing your shit. And you're like, oh God, if that was an adult, I would kill them. Like, and I would get my stuff back. There would be some violence. But suddenly, the fact that they're kids changes the whole dynamic of the situation. You're like, how far am I willing to go to be offended by them taking my stuff? And how far am I willing to go to get it back because of how the situation's been portrayed? And that moral dilemma I thought was an interesting question to pose to the players. And I didn't necessarily have an issue with that because I thought that there was a bigger question being asked there versus just, abuse for entertainment value.
Did you ever play Kill App's restoration mod?
Oh.
Oh shit. Okay, so Kill App's restoration patch for Fallout 2 adds in every piece of cut content. And
really?
Yeah, EPA, the Abbey.
Oh.
Yeah, you didn't know about this? Oh man, I'm gonna be showing. Oh my god,
someone add the EPA back? You're fucking kidding me.
Dude, yeah, weed and everything. It's all there. With the dude, okay, I didn't know you didn't know that. Holy shit.
Oh
yeah, no.
God, I'm so happy.
Okay, yeah, so no, Kill App's restoration patch.
My location. Oh yes.
Yeah, no, and that's one of my favorites too. Kill App has been around since the game launched, and I think the patch came out like 99 or 2000, maybe 2001. So it's been around for a while. And one of the things that it adds back in is the din quest of going to mom's and getting the kids off the street to go back to the orphanage, which isn't in the final. But it makes those children pickpockets go away. Now they have a home to go to and they have food to eat, and now they're not stealing anymore.
Very cool.
And so it's cool. But then you also have Kaga, who shows up and just is brutal and just beats the shit out of you. As you're like, you'll be just going through the wasteland, and maybe you're like almost past Klamath, and here comes Kaga, the first chosen one, and he's gonna tell you all about it. And that's part of the reason I don't play with the patch, is Kaga's so overpowered. He just fucks me up every time. Anyway, no. If you ever feel like playing Fallout 2 again, look up Kill App's.
I will definitely check that out. So just a little bit of tidbit of information. So the Psychotic Toaster, that's an Old World Blues.
Yeah.
That was originally in the EPA. And then also the pod, the vegetation that consumes people from the one vault, but it's basically a venereal disease, that also came from the EPA. So like we did try and bring that back in Old World Blues, but it's great that somebody else restored that stuff.
Oh yeah, and no, and when I say
so fantastic.
When I say he did it, people prefer to play the patched version because of how well he did it. Like, it doesn't even seem like it was removed from the game.
Him. All right.
The next time, seriously, I'll send you a link to the patch so you can at least look at it.
Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. So you can, like, even if you don't install it or whatever. I am so surprised you didn't know about that. But again, like you said, you don't go around and look at that kind of stuff.
Well, that's okay. What happens, just to explain a little bit, is so I go from project to project, and then so for example, I can't get out with Star Wars anymore. So a lot of the stuff happening with Star Wars is just not on my radar anymore because I don't work on Star Wars projects. And unfortunately, the same thing is kind of true with Fallout. So I'm not going to work on another Fallout game again. So my radar sense for that is much lower, because I'm like, okay, well, I could devote my sad energy to paying attention to that and realize it's going to be, or I focus on the next thing and try and make that as as good as possibly can possibly be.
Well, I'll send you the link to that, because I think there's a few. I'm just gonna look up what it all adds back in so we can get excited together. Kill App Restoration Project. Okay, so let me see. New locations. The Slaver's Camp, Hobologist Stash, Enclave Vertibird Landing Pad, a Ranger's Safe House that was mentioned in New Reno and Klamath, Dr. Sheng's Hideout. Where are the...
God, I'm actually sorry that more Hobologist stuff got...
Dude, one of my favorite maps that you guys did in Fallout 2 is the Golden Gate Bridge with the fucking space shuttle on top of it. That isometric space shuttle is so cool to me. Like it's one of my favorite visual things that I've ever
One of the big I'm sorry, not labor of love, but like one superhero designer story from Fallout 2 is there was a designer who was working on San Francisco who totally messed up the map and then quit. And John Diley, one of the designers, had to go in and isolate himself in a room for 2 weeks to completely rebuild the map to make it work, and he made it happen. And like, I don't think he gets enough credit about it to this.
Beautiful. It there's so many good maps. Like Tim was explaining to me, he was like, yeah, well, the fun thing about those is back in those days we had like 15 maps we could use or something. He's like, so we had to have a trick of like making this work and making that work. Oh, okay, the locations that weren't implemented in the original game: EPA, Solix tribe, the primitive tribe where you can go to his sister, and or you can find his sister, bring her back.
Oh, that was in Fallout 2?
Yeah. Well, no,
In the
it wasn't.
original?
No, it wasn't in the original. This is
That was
added.
definitely in Van Buren. Van Buren, she was a companion.
Oh yeah. So this adds it to Fallout 2.
Oh,
There was a village outside of Vault City with new characters involved. The Den residential area, which is the orphanage quest that I was telling you about, and then the She submarine outside of San
cool.
Francisco. Yeah, and it's really cool. Like he did such a good job with it.
Good for him. Wow.
Yeah, no, it's really neat. Back on topic here.
He should go into game development. Someone should hire him.
Well, again, he did this in like '99, so who knows what he did? He could have. He could have like. I mean, I think he updated and added it into the early 2000s, but I mean, I think he was done with it by like 2004. Okay. Let's see here. Biggest regret that you've had with your time working on Fallout, and how you would do it differently now.
Oh, it was just not being able to work on Fallout 1. I still regret the fact that I told Tim no, but again, like it worked out really well for the project and having Scott Benny on board. And I think Scott Benny made Fallout 1 even better than it already was. So like it's hard to feel super regretful when the end result was it made a better game.
Fair enough. So what was the original plan for Ulysses as a companion? What would his themes and quests be like? Oh my God, this is a lot. This is a loaded question. Where, when, why would he join the player? Wolfhorn Ranch, I'm pretty sure. What would he think of the various events throughout the game? Okay, so what they want to know is how would Ulysses have functioned as a companion? Where would you find him?
Okay, so
because I know Wolfhorn is his home. I'm pretty sure where we find Chop.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't recall the exact introduction, but so the goal with him as a companion in the Mojave was I suddenly realized there was nobody in the party who would ever give you any insight into Caesar's Legion, which for me was a big problem. Like my preference for how to fix that would have been to make Vulpus a companion. But as it stood, there was nobody who would speak to it. So that was one reason. And then I wanted Ulysses woven in pretty heavily to the faction mechanics. Since that was such a big part of the big design thrust for New Vegas. But in terms of the overall arc for the game, I don't know if it even got to a point where I could give you the definitive final design for it, because every day just felt like a desperately long hours to burn out. But I don't think I necessarily have any information I can remember specifically about that, just because it's been so long.
Okay. Is it true that he didn't... that he got cut because his dialogue wouldn't fit on the disc?
No.
Okay, so I lost a quiz show answer because that was the answer, and the question was why was it, like, pretty much why was Ulysses cut from the game, and I said I forget what my answer was, but they said the right answer was that there was too much dialogue to fit on the disc, and I said that didn't sound right.
No.
But
No, there's plenty of dialogue in that.
Yeah, there's sure. Yeah, world record holding amount of dialogue.
So really short, TK, you got robbed.
Oh my God. Well, it's okay. It was all. It was. Yeah. We'll have to lash him to the cross. Like, oh, actually, you know what's? I always preach that the Enclave, not the Enclave, the Legion was supposed to be far more brutal than they are depicted in New Vegas. Is that true? Because I had heard stories about them like using the bathroom at the bottom of the crucifixes to like get into the wounds as it fermented in the sun. I
I hadn't heard about that. I got to
okay.
tell you, but I might not have because I got to tell you, one problem that really started to become apparent as the game went on is almost nobody on the development team was talking about the Legion. Like,
Ah,
even when a new location would become available, like, hey, what should we put in this location? For some reason, oh God, so like we had a chance to make like a brand new like area to explore, and thank God, Josh walks into my office and he goes, "Hey, I'm thinking about adding a new NCR camp to this area," and I almost lost it. I'm like, there's already so much fucking NCR shit in here, and also, don't we have enough fucking camps for this stupid fucking faction? Like, how much more do we need from them? So like, we couldn't do a Legion thing because we couldn't do any more like quest dialogue shit because there was already so much
yeah.
that we needed to finish, that I finally convinced him, please just make it like a lurker dungeon or something. Like a player can just have fun, go there and do stuff. Because like we don't have time to do it, and and if we do have time, it shouldn't be NCR. And that was a familiar refrain where it felt like everybody was focusing on NCR too much. That we left out a lot of just Legion content because no one seemed to be focusing on it, and
Mm.
that just really sucks from a player experience standpoint, because when you join a faction, you want to have the same level of content as all the other factions.
Yeah.
And NCR was just getting overloaded. And I'm like, I'm already sick of this fucking faction. And if I see another fucking quest line involving them, like, I'm going to lose it. So
That's fantastic. I love hearing the little tidbits like that. Somebody wants to know about the canceled Fallout MMO, and they thought that it always sounded interesting.
well, I would probably tell the person having questions that I also had many questions about it,
Okay,
because
fair
I
enough.
don't think much was I don't think much was done on it. Like I know Chris Taylor was working on it, but in terms of what they actually had to show, I'm not sure they had anything more beyond documents, because there wasn't anybody, like there wasn't really a full development team at Interplay to even work on it. I think they just like to pretend they are working on it to showcase, hey, we're still alive, we're still doing things. And to be honest, like a Fallout MMO that's being worked on is still kind of news that keeps Interplay like in the headlines,
Yeah.
or at least puts them on the radar. But as far as I understood it, there really wasn't anything to it at all.
Yeah, I remember seeing a promotional image that had "The Master Lives" scrawled, like carved into a desk. And as it does he? Is that what
Well,
we're
I mean, I'm glad the promotional image got done. Like
Yeah.
that,
Well,
at
I
least
was
that.
just confused on the Master still being alive. Like, what are we talking about here?
Yeah, that's a whole weird. So I got to tell you, TK, if you ever get a chance to interview Chris Taylor, he
I'd
could
love
probably
to.
tell you all that. Or Marco Green, who did a lot of the talking head dialogues for Fallout One. He's a fantastic writer. Like
I want to
and
talk to
also,
all you guys, so.
oh my God, Mark would be so brutal to interview in a fun way.
Oh,
Like
good. Yeah, no, see, that's what I like.
he used to be head of Black Isle, and he would never edit himself. He just like laid it all out there. And actually, he was the one who hired me, and that guy was great. Anyway, much respect for his writing too.
Well, then I'm gonna have to get in contact with those guys. See, I try to use my connections a little bit. Like I said, I got in contact with Leonard because of Tim. But how I did that with Tim, I said, "Hey, Tim, you can tell me to fuck off if you want to," which he'd never do.
He would
But
never do.
yeah, but I told him, you can tell me to fuck off if you want to, but if you could just let Leonard know that I'm interested in talking to him, that'd be really great.
Just slide that
Hey, if you hear from, or if you could give me his email with his permission or something like that. And Tim's like, well, we'll see what happens. And I was like, okay, thank you, and then, so that's how I use it. That's how I use any of the connection that I have. Is just like, hey, if it doesn't bug you, if it's within your wheelhouse, So when it comes to those that you just mentioned, I'll try to reach out the best that I
Okay,
can.
sure.
But okay, so what piece of Fallout lore or character arc do you wish players understood differently or didn't land the way you intended?
Oh yeah, so it would be the reactivity at the end of the DLCs. So I again, like I mentioned, I took a lot of heat for like saying for the implication I'd be wiping out stuff. Like I don't work like that. The reason nukes go off at the end of the DLC arc is for a very simple reason. When I do that, or when I allow that to happen, the reason is events like that allow you to rebuild certain parts of the wasteland in different ways. And also, it allows you to reshape environments. It's a way to sort of like change the environment to the way you'd like it to be. I mean, it doesn't. It's not to invalidate the background. It's not to invalidate your choices. It's to, hey, you could probably create more possibilities if you do this, with this effect at the end that allows you to develop new areas, like shake up the drama, like shake up the factions, like what I mentioned with the Van Buren War between the Brotherhood and NCR. That's the opportunities I'm looking for with that. But I think people just assume that I was trying to erase it all from existence. Also, one other thing too is, I don't think people ever realized how you beat the tunnelers. Like, I don't think anyone ever got it. There's a reason they don't go out in daylight.
Oh shit! I
and,
didn't even think
and,
about that.
and that's the biggest weakness. They can only thrive below ground. And again, like a lot of the idea for the tunnelers came not only from the Mole Man, like 1950s, like sci-fi movies, which makes them perfect creatures in that respect, but also I saw how the Mole Men were used in the Logan graphic novel that came out that was sort of the post-apocalyptic version of the Marvel Universe. And the Mole Men in that graphic novel are the scariest shit you've ever seen because they actually swallow cities. Like they just burrow beneath it and they swallowed San
Mm.
Francisco, so it all collapsed into the canes, and they just feed on the population. It's horrifying. They're not everywhere in the U.S., but the fact they get to that location, I'm like, wow, that's such a fucking cool idea. Although the idea that Mark Millar had for the Hulks was even worse. But I'll let people read the graphic novel and they can judge for themselves.
You bring up the tunnelers. A little piece of New Vegas canidity here. When we see ending slides for various things, one of the things that always stood out to me was the tunnelers being mentioned as an inevitability for the Mojave, where no
Yeah.
matter what was going to happen, these tunnelers were going to show up and fuck things up. It's almost the same with the Cloud. In depending on which ending you get, I actually informed a lot of people. If you judge off of my comments on my YouTube video, a lot of people didn't know about that Elijah ending in Dead Money, and
Yeah, so now wait.
I did a video and I was like, listen, there's a whole ending in Dead Money that you guys aren't talking about here.
Yeah, so that was done to try and adhere to the philosophy of Fallout 1, where you could have the bad ending.
Yeah,
And even though we couldn't do it in New Vegas, technically, I'm like, I'm gonna put it in the DLCs. I'm gonna put like stupid speak in the DLCs. Like, I'm gonna do all that classic Fallout stuff until Bethesda told me to stop. And they're like, well, the Elijah thing we're gonna let in, but we're not gonna let the old world blues bad ending in. And I'm like, okay, whatever. And the dumb speak was so easy to do, but then they said no to that too. And so
God, that drives me
the whole
wild.
yeah, but to be fair, like they'd already spent so much money on New Vegas, according to them at the time. And the reason I say it that way is because I'm sure it made them a fuck ton more money in the long run
You see
than
that
what was easily.
anniversary
So
edition they're selling for $200 because it has a Victor statue in it, and they give you a
yep,
code
I
for
saw.
Steam.
Yeah, but it's not a remaster. Yep.
No,
I,
we didn't even talk about the remaster. Holy
oh my
shit!
God, TK. So just really simple. I don't think Bethesda has the engineering know-how to make a remaster of New Vegas at all.
Did you? Okay, that's fair. Did you check out the Oblivion one at all?
No.
Okay,
Oh
so
wait, no. About I did hear the reactions to it though.
what did you hear reaction wise?
It was I think people enjoyed some of the visuals, but overall it seemed like the reception was kind of negative. Am I reading that wrong?
No, when it came to Oblivion's old color palettes and things of that nature, a lot of people thought that the Unreal Engine diminished those and made it less
Okay.
saturated. That was an issue I saw. Of course, what they're doing sounds hilarious because they're taking the Creation Engine game and then they're wrapping Unreal 5 around it, and you're just like, holy shit, what do you mean? But it worked. Like I was like, you know, this is working. You know, it sounds like they're gonna do the same thing for Fallout 3, but instead of having I forget the name of the studio, but they did Metal Gear Solid Delta as well, the Snake Eater remake, and the Snake Eater remake's really good. Apparently they learned from them how to do it, and so now Bethesda, for the Fallout 3 remaster, from what I hear in the rumor mill, is going to do it in-house with that same strategy of taking the creation engine and wrapping Unreal 5. And I'm just like, holy shit. Oh, man. So
I think that'd be one of the only ways they could do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, this is the Fallout 3 remaster rumor. Everybody is like, oh, they should do New Vegas at the same time. And yeah, if and nuts were candy, and you know.
Well, I mean, just pragmatically, it would make more sense to try out that process with Fallout 3 before going to New Vegas, just to see what all the problems and issues are as a result.
Yeah. And you think just other than that, fundamentally, it would be an impossibility for them?
Yeah, for one reason. The very last milestone for New Vegas was please deliver all the source code and the ability to make the build, and like we'll pay you like $10,000 for that milestone. Now, what that milestone really meant was if all those assets are given to Bethesda, that means they can recreate the game at any time.
Yeah.
For reasons unknown to me, but I have suspicions, Fergus decided not to cash out that milestone and did not deliver it.
Well, that's none of my business. But that is a strange decision.
Well, it's not a strange decision if you feel, which would not be out of the realms of possibility, that he felt that the New Vegas experience cheated him out of X amount of money.
Okay.
In which case, cutting off the revenue stream from that product for all time would be a possibility. I could certainly see that, and I'm not saying.
So Bethesda doesn't have the source code for New Vegas?
I don't. They may have aspects of the code, but everyone that I talked to after that period of time said they had no idea how to reassemble it. And
holy shit!
Oh yeah.
That's dire. And you know what's funny is modders do it for free. They make it look amazing. Now it's not the same as maybe an official remaster or whatever, but they make the visual fidelity look like modernized graphics. You know what I mean? They put in cut content. Like, it's just insane to me that, like, I don't know.
They actually had an Obsidian engineer who might have been able to figure it out. They had one of our best programmers from Obsidian who of course left because Obsidian's not a big engineering company, and they're not really super supported at Obsidian, so it wasn't a huge surprise. But this one guy, John Burke, he went over to Bethesda to work with them for a while, and honestly, he probably could have figured it out because that guy's a fucking genius. He's working on the God of War series now. He's a great guy.
Yeah, so he's good at his job.
Oh god, yeah, it's a rare thing.
Yeah. Now that even with Microsoft owning both companies, you don't think that they could, unless
here's the story with the Microsoft acquisition. So I think that there's an impression in people's minds that will make sense to them, that if they're all under the Microsoft umbrella, they're all going to cooperate and everyone's going to get along, everyone's going to share everything. But the Sony model has already proved that's not the case. Like, those studios don't always cooperate with each other. Sometimes they see each other as rivals. Sometimes they demand exorbitant amounts of money to share assets. Like, it's not always one big happy family. With Microsoft, it may seem like they could punch through all of that. I am not sure that they can, mostly because of how the Bethesda deal went down. In my opinion, Bethesda did not have to sell to Microsoft at all. Like, they would have kept going just the way they were, but they did decide to sell. But the issue is, when you don't have to sell and the other person wants to buy you, you can make demands. And I very much imagine part of the demands were, Todd Howard said, look, we can sign with you. We'll deliver our products to Xbox. We'll make sure that we're doing right by you. But you're not going to have any say over what happens with our properties. Like, we're going to develop Fallout the way we want to develop Fallout. So that's my opinion. Other people I've talked to have supported that, but I can't give you concrete evidence. It's mostly just human nature, and for what I've seen of contracts in the past. I would have been very surprised had Bethesda sold out all their rights to say you no longer have any choice over where your properties go. I just can't see them making that
Yeah,
deal.
that would make less sense.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's not even about like who's right or who's wrong or whatever. That I'm just like from a business standpoint, that like this is ours and we're gonna do with it what we want.
Right, and
Yeah,
another thing TK2 is Todd Howard like really loves Fallout.
yeah.
Like I'm,
Yep, I've
he,
told people this too.
people blast it. They say there's no way that's the case. That's not true. Like
All he played in college.
yeah,
Yeah,
he likes that franchise. He cares about it. He obviously wants to keep some control over it,
yeah.
and also sorry, along the Fallout lines with that. I was going to say about the Fallout aspect. Todd Howard Fallout.
Well, because I remember
I,
he was the one that was like, "Oh, I want that," and then Bethesda came to him and said, "Hey, go get it. Like,
oh, and
here's a
also,
check for it."
yeah,
You know?
I remember another reason too is there was somebody at Bethesda, a guy named Vladko, I think, who actually was bragging to us during our pitch meeting where we're discussing doing New Vegas, where he actually bragged about the fact that Todd Howard didn't want anyone else to do like a Fallout game, and he had basically forced Todd to make this decision to let somebody do another Fallout game because it was going to be so long before the next Fallout came out. And Vladko was right about this. Like, you want to keep it in the public consciousness, but
Yeah,
it's very important to Todd Howard that that not happen. And Vladko was like bragging about how like, yeah, Todd really didn't want to do it, but like I made him do it. He wasn't happy at all. Like, he's doing the power trip, like laughing. You're like, okay, whatever, man. But like, but the point is, it showcased how much Todd did care about keeping the Fallout
yeah.
license and trying to make it thrive from his end.
You know, and it's for better or worse, like what you said, he does actually love the series. Like there's a
Mhm.
reason, and whether or not you like people out there as fans agree with the decisions that Bethesda makes or the way Todd Howard conducts himself, which I've always heard he was a perfectly nice guy, and it's just a big nerd.
He was always really nice to us.
Yeah, I've always heard he was really nice. Big nerd, likes to play video games
Oh,
just
same
like everybody else does. You know, like I still, from like somebody who like they paid for that IP. You know what I mean? They went to court over it. They did. There was a whole bunch of things that happened for Bethesda to own Fallout, and so yeah, like it would make complete sense. Now, I've heard some rumblings more recently too. Other developers that worked on maybe Fallout 3, Fallout 4, talking about being a little bit jaded by the fact that New Vegas gets all the praise and the love from the community when actually, okay, I'm not going to blast anybody because the guy who said it is actually a really nice guy. But what was said basically was, well, we laid the foundation of the RPG, of Fallout as an RPG, and then New Vegas used what we had, and now gets all the credit for making this great game. And I said, you're talking about the people who literally invented this game. Like, they laid the foundation for you to make Fallout 3 later on in life. Without their ideas, that game wouldn't exist. But people can go back and forth on what they think.
Was this one of the concept artists at Bethesda?
Yeah.
Was it Jonah Loeb?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I figured. So
and again, he's
Yeah.
only been nice to me, so I'm not trying to put the guy on blast. I just did not agree.
He is a very nice guy, and I do appreciate his Deathclaw videos.
Yeah, me too.
However, just to take his side a little bit, there is no way Obsidian ever could have done a game like New Vegas without that engine,
yeah,
without those assets.
And that's what he meant. That's what he meant when he said that. Yeah.
So,
but the headline read, "Without our foundation, New Vegas would have been fucked for the most part." I'm like, that is not. These guys invented the series. What are you talking about?
And also, like, if you do that same comparison with BioWare, and them giving like Black Isle the Infinity Engine to do like Icewind Dales and Torment and all the other stuff, like, at no point did BioWare get frustrated at us using their. I mean, actually, they took code from us too. Like, we shared that stuff, but BioWare was already doing great stuff on their own, where like it wasn't even a question that like we were even outshining them. They were just doing a better job with it. So like that's the best defense. Like your studio has to do the best job it can with your tech. And it's great that you're giving tech to other studios, but if they do a better narrative or a better design structure than you, that's kind of on you.
Yeah. And that's what I've always said too. I don't want to keep you for much longer. I'm going to go through a couple more of these
Sure.
questions, but you're already like a half an hour past how long you said you wanted to do this.
Oh, this is a lot of fun, TK. I know.
Well, I appreciate you saying that.
Dude, you were waiting a long time for this, and like I had to put so many requests on hold for like the past 4 years. I went through my entire inbox trying to figure out who messaged me. I finally got back to people, and you were one of the most patient guys. So it's my pleasure. If I can give you an extra half hour of my time, that's a small debt to repay.
I just thank you for doing it. And then, like I said, you know, a few months from now or something like that, maybe we do it again or something like that.
Sure.
And that way, you know, we can split some of this up, and I'll save these questions. There's one that I want to get to just because this person's been a long-term fan of mine, and she posted this, and I was like, hey, I got yours, you know, I got yours in and sent to him, and she was really excited. She's a really big fan of yours. So she said, if there's time to ask the question, I was wondering about the quote from, and you probably saw this, the blog that you have about the TV show introducing the Enclave part. And then you had said the quote is, "We ruined Tim's original good idea with our take in Fallout 2." And she wanted to know, how would you rewrite the Enclave story if its main purpose to doing experiments in order to find out if humanity can survive the harsh conditions of living in space? How could that? This is a little jumbled with grammar errors, so I'm trying to read it right. How could that story evolve from that? And she said, I'm just wondering his opinion about it. And then she said, you're a true legend, one of her heroes, and she wanted to thank you for your contributions to Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic too.
Oh, well, that is very kind. So I guess the first thing I'd say, the way that we ruined it was, I think we ruined them tonally. So that's one of the damage. Like, I'm not even talking about Horrigan by himself. By the end of the game, there were certain aspects of the Enclave that, I'll be honest, just felt like a big joke. Okay. Like, oh wow, look, here's the vice president, and wow, he's acting just like
Dan Quayle.
It's just dumb. And then like
nobody today gets that joke even.
And that's the danger of jokes like that.
Yeah, like nobody fucking. I explain it every single time I stream Fallout 2. I'm like, by the way, this is the vice president from like fucking 30 years ago that is being referenced here, and you guys don't get the joke because he's no longer relevant.
Yeah, and also that whole idea of space travel wasn't anything that we were foreshadowing at all in Fallout 2 either, which was also a huge mistake. And Tim was very conscious about where he wanted the franchise to go. He's like, hey, yeah, we're going to the stars. And like, so we missed that stepping stone entirely. Also, the fact that people still have questions that, hey, like the Enclave got completely wiped out, that's, in my opinion, just not true, because like even within Fallout 2 itself, like you see the outposts, like, you know, there's other communities of the Enclave. It might not be thousands of people or hundreds of people.
No, but you have Navarro.
Yeah, but they're out there.
Yeah,
they're out there.
Yeah.
So like, and also like, to be honest, with all the comedy and the clowns stripped away, it was a really good idea for a faction where like, wow, that faction has legs. And I'm sure that's part of the reason why Bethesda wanted to use them, because they had that gravitas with them. You're like, oh, wow, it's the old world come back. And like, they've got the tech and they're, you know, super discriminatory. And like, they're out for all of us. And they don't care that, you know, they don't see us as humans. They see us as mutants. Like, that's a great perspective shift too. So I guess the overall what I'm saying is, I don't think we paved way for the future properly. I think we undercut the gravitas of that organization with a comedy. And I think that's two big punches that we did to an otherwise much better idea that those core three people had that we kind of spoiled.
Okay. How did you feel about their depiction in Fallout 3?
You know, to be honest, I don't know if I even got that far. I played halfway across Fallout 3 before like I got switched over another project that wasn't Fallout related. And also there was another problem too, where like I was basically working like 80 hours, which at that time was actually
that's a lot
small for me. So I would have to spend my off hours playing Fallout 3, and I got
Mm.
halfway through exploring all the locations. Like I would like put pins through every
Yep.
area. I would go through trying to like make sure I knew everything about it, and I just couldn't finish it in time before I had to switch off to a non-Fallout project. And then you have to like do research on other games. So like it's a failing of mine. Like I didn't get a chance to see how they were portrayed in Fallout 3, but I don't think I would have liked the portrayal based on how I saw the other factions being portrayed, like the Brotherhood. I'm like, yeah, this feels like kind of like a candy like interpretation of the Brotherhood in Fallout 3. They didn't seem quite as asshole-ish
No,
in
the
Fallout.
Outcasts took over the original Brotherhood mentality in Fallout 3, which I enjoyed the Outcasts a lot because I was like, oh, you're like the OG Brotherhood. No, the Enclave shows up at there's a big water purification system going
Oh
on.
yeah.
Yeah, they show up, and President Eden, who's an AI, who Bethesda was originally trying to get Bill Clinton to do the voice of, but he turned it down, unfortunately, because that would have been a great piece of Fallout lore. But Eden, he wants you to put this like modified FEV into the purification system to purify everybody of their mutations, just like in Fallout 2 for the most part. And you know what I mean? Like I think it was airborne in Fallout 2
I okay,
too.
so I did see that dialogue, and that's one that dialogue with him at the near the end.
Yeah.
Hey, go stop. Okay, sorry.
No, you're all
Um,
good.
give me a warning
Got
about that.
it. I'm stopping any alarms and timers that are ringing on your smart home devices.
Anyway, so I remember seeing that dialogue because I was still trying to research the rest of the game, even though I couldn't finish it. And that particular dialogue was a prime example of how they didn't know how to use the speech skill. But one thing I did like about President Eden and that Enclave connection was they did a really good job of finding a way to foreshadow and showcase President Eden throughout the game. And
Yeah, with the
sure, it was
iBots.
kind of closed you with the iBots, but still, like you knew who he was,
Yeah,
like you knew what he stood for. You
he
knew his.
introduced
You're like,
himself
you get it.
immediately out of the vault. You're coming out of the
Yeah,
vault. You go through
you get it.
Springvale immediately. I am John Henry Eden, and I'm here to save America. And you should be listening to me. And then you hear it at places like Andale, like you were talking about with the cannibals, and it just feels like oh, maybe there is something that's gonna be okay. You know what I mean? And then obviously in Fallout fashion, it blows up. But
Yeah, I'm always a big proponent for making sure you introduce the antagonists early and like you build them up through the game. So I thought the iBots was a decent way to do that. Maybe not the best, but I thought it worked.
yeah, same. Let's see. Somebody wanted to know if the train tunnel south of the Mojave Drive-In in New Vegas was originally meant to be. He's already saying no. It
Nope.
was not.
No,
The
that was
main
that's a
entrance
simple one.
to
No.
Old World Blues. No, it wasn't. Somebody wanted to know if you released Van Buren as Fallout 3. Was there already ideas about what Fallout 4 would be when you guys were?
No.
No, there wasn't. Okay.
And the reason for that was really simple. Because I spent three and a half years just trying to get Fallout 3 going, and we didn't even have a team nor near the end of that. I'm like, I can't even imagine when Fallout 4 would get started. So like, I was just focused on Fallout 3,
Yeah,
and
that makes sense.
although I'm sure halfway through like real Fallout 3 production, we would have started having ideas for the sequel, but we never even got to that point.
Okay. This is the last one I'll hit you with because I'm actually pretty curious about it too. They said genuinely curious about his opinion on AI in game development. I think there's some great opportunities to improve development velocity, but obviously significant drawbacks. So they want to know how you feel about that.
So I think AI works really well as a tool. I don't use it for any creative work, but I think it's really good for doing things like, hey, I have this really cool name for a boss. I better make sure it's not being used in any other game that's ever existed.
Yeah, and AI
And
can
like
do that
that's
for you
how,
in seconds. Like
yes, and
yeah,
you're like, thank God I asked.
yeah,
But for tool research, gathering, and just getting the information you need to help do your job. And there's one specific example where it worked really well. So I was working on an Amazon project last year where part of the contract of how it was set up was it was very specific for legal reasons that we could only use material in 4 particular books.
okay,
Anything else we couldn't do without getting into legal trouble. Now, the problem was those books were pretty dense. And so AI was great for like, what happened to this character if you only use these 4 books as a reference, and then the AI was great for that. But to do the research for that on your own could have been so error prone and put the project in danger as a result. AI was perfect for that.
Yeah, I actually use it very similarly when it comes to searching up when I'm doing lore videos and things of that nature. I'll be like, I'm not seeing anything here for, you know, this and this. Did this ever happen in the Fallout series?
Yep.
Has this happened? You know, I do that. So, but when it comes to generative AI, you're not a big fan of that in the gaming space, I'm imagining.
I think it undercuts the creative process, and I don't think we figured out a good way to both respect creators and use AI at the same time. And
I
I
agree.
don't think the public is definitely not ready for it. So I'm still waiting for someone to fall on that grenade and be the first one to be devastated by it before like there's any sort of sea change about that approach. But I'm not in favor of that approach anyway. So
Yeah, well, it certainly lacks creativity. But okay, well, before we go, if there's anything you're working on that you can talk about, any projects that you're doing, let us know about them.
yeah, sure. So just really quick, so I'm working with Adam Williams. He's a writer that formerly worked at Quantic Dreams on the Star Wars Eclipse game, and then he went to form his own studio called Republic Games, and we just chatted about writing stuff over the years. And then he happened to mention he was working on this RPG, and so I asked him some questions about it. And I got to tell you, like, there's a lot of RPG mechanics I'm pretty jaded about. Like it takes a lot to get me like really motivated. Go, oh wow, like that's something new. Like I haven't seen it before. And then he told me something new that he was doing, and he showed me how it worked. And I'm like, can I help? And he's like, I'm on board. So like we've been working on that RPG, I think for the past year and a half, and that's been pretty great. But I don't know when we'll announce it. I'd like to make sure we're doing time to, and Adam feels the same way. Take our time, make sure that we're doing the right steps, and but I'm really excited about it. Yeah.
Okay, and you don't mind me putting that in the video, obviously, right?
Oh no, not at all.
Okay, I was just making sure that I was like, hopefully he doesn't think that was a secret. But you said something that actually reminds me of Tim. Tim talks about not liking to work on sequels, and part of his big thing is like, what are we doing that is new with this? What are we not just a new character or something like that?
Yep.
What about this is now a new experience that didn't exist in so when you said he told me something new, that excited me, because if it's something new to you, then it's gonna blow my mind probably. So plus I love who is the lead at Quantic Dream? David Cage, is that his name?
Yes.
Yeah, so his games are mindfuck, and I love them. So anybody coming from that camp and working with you, very exciting to me. That sounds fantastic. So, and then those are the ones that's all you can talk about so far?
Those are the only ones I'm going to talk about. I will say that me and Tim did work together at Wolfeye, who did the Weird West game, and they're made of ex-Arcane developers. And we did work on their most recent project together before Tim went back to Obsidian, and that was fucking great. Like we had Raphael Colantonio, Tim, and me, like just all kicking around design ideas, and that was fucking awesome.
That sounds fucking awesome. Well, I'll cut you loose then. Thank you so much for doing this. Like, you have no fucking idea how much it means. So,
well, I appreciate your patience. I know it was a long time coming. It's been really super hard to find the time, but I've been trying to get back to all the people that did want to talk about games and just interview stuff. And you were one of them, and I wanted to make sure I gave you the time because you were patient.
Well, I appreciate it. I remember my first idea, for everybody who wants to know, the first time I hit him up a few years back, it's back when I met Tim, and I believe the message was like, I will fly anywhere in the United States and I will meet you. Times have changed. COVID happened, all that kind of stuff. This became a lot more viable, so this worked out perfect because now we can do it from the comfort of our own homes.
Fantastic.
So thank you.